always seem to miss it.
Hi guys, welcome back to our wonderful Wednesday movie review. And tonight it was a first for me. I hadn't seen this one, The Repo Man, or Repo Man. It didn't have the better watch, but I must admit this was a weird one.
It's definitely not. Go ahead, Jim. What were you going to say?
I was just going to introduce you and let you riff with it, but this is definitely a recommendation from Wendy.
Yep.
And I would
And
say,
hopefully Wendy can actually clear up some of the questions I've got.
yes, I was going to go
on,
down
Jim.
that route. There are questions.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
So
This is a film that's definitely unusual would be the word, and I think it somewhat falls a little bit into the purview of Bubba Hotep and things like that. It's an acquired taste, I suppose, but it did receive very high very good critical reviews at the time.
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what you two made of it and what your overall reactions are.
I must admit, the first thing when I watched it, I thought, when you were saying like Bubba Hotep, I was definitely thinking B movie at its best. I've seen some, I wouldn't even class them as B movies. So some early stuff, which were out of ZZ list movies, and they were bad. But this was a good B movie. You could see it seemed to be done a bit in the cheap. Whoever was writing it wasn't obviously an experienced writer. You had a couple of cast who were very experienced, and you had a couple of people who just seemed to be act like a punk. Oh, we do this all the time, and it's like they were thrown in, and they were just basically doing what they think they should be doing.
Well, that's interesting that you say that because going back a second, the film was written and directed by Alex Cox, Alex B. H. Cox, who is an English film director and screenwriter, actor, nonfiction author, and broadcaster. So he did have it was his directorial debut. So as you say, quite a sort of first go, if you will, for him. And what else was I going to say? I was something you said just made me think. Oh, there's a point at which in the wiki page for Repo Man, where it does suggest that Alex Cox actually encouraged the actors at certain points to just improvise.
Yeah.
Which comes across, I think, very well, in as much as it makes it very raw, very unpredictable.
Yeah, because the Alex Cox, I was just looking at his acting roles. He had done 3 movies prior to this one because he played the car wash attendant, which obviously it was just a wee blink you miss it part. But the movie before, he was in Scarred and he played the porno stud. And I was just looking at his writing credits, and Repo Man was his second writing credit, and the other one before that was a short. Sleep is for Sissies. So this was his first main writing credit because he'd done a short prior to that. But even at that, considering it's still an entertaining movie, I must admit. It did look a bit first time. It
looks a bit ragged, but it is.
It's definitely not polished as in you would see movies done by more experienced
it
people.
still carries the traces of this time, because a lot of the dialogues and everything, a lot of the film is quite fragmented. It's more people that just happen to join a car ride together or a bus ride together, and they don't really care. Someone is just having a monologue with themselves. But I will say the there are quite a few sketch moments. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit in the film, but you know the guy that is swerving with his car constantly when he's driving.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping too far ahead because obviously that would be a little bit of spoilers, but the way he drives is definitely distinct. But you have all of these individual characters and they burst out into, it's not a discussion, it's a monologue. But when the swerving car guy gets together with our, shall we say, main hero, that monologue for me, that is hitting perfection. It's like listening to an amazing piece of music, and that's just where the crescendos and everything hits, because his descriptions, his philosophies, all of that is just coming together so really well. And it was like, whoa, it's like you're literally like leaning forward in the sofa. It's like, oh, I want to hear more. So I like that part. And this is where I'm saying, I know I've seen it or part of it, but I have no recollection of seeing all of it before.
Yeah. I must admit, this was the very first time I'd seen this one. I hadn't even seen any of it at all. Yet I went through a stage of looking for Harry Dean Stanton stuff. And it's just one that slipped through because obviously he was in he was in Alien Autopsy with Ant and Dec. I recognised him from other things, and I thought he only had a wee teeny part in that, but it was quite. It was very standout. It stood out as in there's a guy who could act. Standing out in this one, it seemed with Ant and Dec, entertainers, comedians.
Well, that was probably just a bit of a goof, really.
Yeah.
Just a bit of fun
for
for him.
Entertaining movie, and he brought seriousness into it, even though some of the things he did were funny, but he didn't play it as a joke. He just played it seriously, and
He did, yeah.
Yep. Oh, and thanks, Darius, for giving us a mention. Cheers.
Yay! Thanks, Darius.
Yeah, but I must admit, this one had completely slipped through, and I had no idea how, because he's just as good in this as he was in Alien Autopsy.
As you said, with Harry Dean Stanton, he really elevates things that he's in and scenes that he's in, and he was also obviously in the original Alien.
Yeah,
with Ridley Scott, played one of the engine crew on the Nostromo.
Yeah.
So a really a true character actor, a real actor that when you see him in things, it just stays with you.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely is.
Apologies for my voice tonight as well if I sound a bit scratchy. I've picked up some kind of a bug of some description.
I
don't know. Yeah, I know the feeling. Mine's a wee bit squeaky as well.
I was just going to say that you need to get a sound card like the rest of us.
I know. I will be dangerous with a sound card. I need to get one.
Well,
but I feel like my voice is even lower than it usually is because I'm on the Lemsips tonight. Put it that way.
Well, I know. I must admit, the other night I was invited onto a stream, and I had to say no because I just didn't want to constantly get all the time because it just felt as if that wee bit of raspy.
Because they opened up the office, we've been back in a little bit, but I think I've managed to dodge a bullet because I was in on the Monday, and I didn't come in on the Tuesday and Wednesday as planned, so today. But there is definitely a lot of people when you have the team calls and like the Zoom meetings and everything, and you can hear it's like
everybody. Yeah, I had a meeting yesterday, and I was like that as well. I eventually just went off camera and just muted myself. I was just like, this is not going well.
Well, Mama, I'm back at work as well, 3 days a week, because they were originally going to do 2 days, then 4 days, then back in permanently. But they upped it to 3, and then they said they're probably not going to do more than 3. So 3 in, 2 working from home. And so I'm working Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And people says, why didn't you just take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? That way you can have a long weekend. I says, because I'm still working. The only difference is I'm not driving into work. So does it matter if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? I'm still driving. It's not as if I'm getting a long weekend because I'm still working. That's the only difference. So I thought a Friday would be easier because roads are usually quieter. So I would rather go on a day when the roads are a bit quieter at coming home.
You see, I've chosen my days. We only need like one, but default option is, no, not even option. Default is work from home. Come in if you can. But I've chosen the days where I'm providing the most for other people, help them with what I know, get their job moving forward, get whatever they need to get done.
Mhm.
So I've chosen those days. That's when I go in.
Yeah. But so I'm getting in on a Wednesday's no ideal because I get home about 6:30 and I've got an hour to get food, things organised before I start. But we were running a wee bit late because my dog had a fit, so I had to
I
take care of the dog first.
I
So,
hope absolutely.
aye, Buddy's been having him for a while. He
For
just basically
babies
goes all
first.
stiff and his eyes just go wide. So I usually just hold on to him until he calms down. Then once he's sick,
Oh,
he seems to be
it
starting
seems to pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bless him.
So I usually
Yeah,
take
I hope
his
he's
stigma,
alright.
so that's why we were running a wee bit late tonight, ladies and gents.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I hope he's okay now and settled
Yes,
and
he is. He's now
back to
sitting with my
himself.
wife. Actually, he'll just have to get something to eat because he hadn't brought all his food back up. So
Oh,
typical
bless him.
ability.
Yeah.
More food.
Yeah.
More food.
And you managed to pull the message from Darren's own that he just needed to edit a little bit. So, yep, there you go. Now you have the full one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I agree.
You know how much I saw one thing about this. I don't know if
Yes.
it's on the IMDb. The cost for the car.
Yes.
They basically were talking about initially just painting it white and then basically just changing the contrast to make it stand out. And they went,
Mhm.
nope, we want it painted with that highly reflective paint, which you can see on close-ups. It looks like somebody just slapped it all on. But was it $7,000? They spent on the paint because it
Holy
was so
cow.
expensive. I'm trying to find where is it? I'm sure it was something like $7,000. It was in
Well,
it.
they had a pretty
Yeah.
micro budget when you think about it. I think
I
they
know,
only
sorry.
had
I put an
a
extra zero on it.
1.5 million budget.
Yeah, I put an extra zero on that. But no special effects were used to make the Chevy Malibu glow well up at the lot. Instead, the car was completely coated in 3M reflective paint at an approximate price of $600 per bucket. So how many buckets did it take to actually cover that?
I
And they would
can't
have
even
to keep
imagine.
touching it up. So,
I love it, Eva.
but that's what they wanted. They didn't want any CGI or anything. But
Yeah. What did you guys think of the opening scene, which is we're in the Mojave Desert and a policeman pulls over a 1964 Chevy Malibu driven by J. Frank Parnell, who looks a little bit like a stoned Dennis Hopper.
actually, do you know who it reminded me of? It wasn't Dennis Hopper. See the one who was in Beetlejuice? Was it the one that played the father?
Oh, I can't remember. I have seen that
Uh-huh.
a couple times, I think. But not
Also, I think
recently.
there was also he played in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Played the principal. That's who he reminded me of.
Really? I'm trying to
That's who
think.
he
'Cause
reminded me of.
the principal
Don't know.
in
He just
Ferris
seemed a bit.
Bueller's Day.
No, I'm probably confusing the principal for the guy that's going Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller.
Yes,
Bueller.
possibly, because the principal is
No.
a I think that actor has got like ginger hair, and he's
It just for something he reminded me as if he was
Yeah.
a wee bit beefier.
yeah, so
Try
a
to
wee
be-
bit
try
more
to be
screwed
polite.
up.
Try to be a wee bit polite. So I'm just looking
Yeah.
for him. Where is he? Where is he? Jeffrey Jones, which the picture in IMDb, he has got a bit of weight on him. So this is the who it just reminded me of, but I thought it was like him, but only a bit beefier.
Yeah.
And I looked in IMDb, and that's what he looks like now.
So we have that scene, and then the policeman pulls him over and looks in the trunk.
Oh,
and is
that's the. It's not.
That's the
Ferris
principal
Bueller.
from Ferris Bueller's.
It's the school skipping like guard that chases him across town and everything.
Yeah, but that's what he looks like now. Obviously, when I first saw the part
God,
where the policeman's driving up behind him, I thought that initially was him, just a wee bit beefier. But obviously, his picture now, he has got a bit of weight. But that's who
Jeez, I wouldn't have recognized him. Yeah.
That's who I thought the guy with the glasses, or well, part glasses on, was.
Yes.
In that scene. It
He-
took me a
he
wee
was-
while to realise.
He was definitely well suited to the sort of vibe they were going for. Completely just like totally out of his mind.
Yes.
And the poor police officer opens the trunk and is instantly vaporized, leaving only his boots behind, which is,
See,
I think, a great opener.
It is a great opener, but that was the first one I thought, this is a cheap movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because the police car, you see from behind the police car, you hear the sirens, and I'm sitting there thinking, no lights. So there was it didn't look like a police car, a police bike, until you actually saw it pull over and they had the police sign across it, and that was it. That was the only, this is a police bike because it's got police.
In all fairness to that, you're in the Mojave Desert. It's like bright lights everywhere. You wouldn't see it.
Yeah, but I know, but they would still have police bikes, and it was just the fact is, I thought that was the very first scene, and I thought,
this is the charm, because you can immediately tell this is a lower budget film.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
lots of
And
money
I think-
going into this.
And I think that's the key, I think, to enjoying this film the most, is to have fun with that, because they clearly do.
and I think
They
so,
deliberately go for that, really almost like
school project movie.
yeah, like rough and ready sort of production.
Yes, because
And then-
the cop's outfit just sort of didn't quite fit him. And then the way he talks, like, give me your keys, I'll look in the boot. It's not how the police you would expect that. And open it, well, he's sitting there going, do, 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 do. And
Well, you wouldn't have, if you asked someone to hand over like a small object like these, you wouldn't have the clumsy motorcycle gloves on. Although I
Yeah.
don't think if you're riding a motorcycle in the Mojave Desert, that you're gonna have like a full leather suit and full leather gloves and everything on, because that
No,
looked more
you'd
like
be
for
dead.
suspense.
But it was just the fact is that first scene, it sort of tells you that this is not a high budget movie. But
Yeah.
just to be their
Yeah.
acting, you just think
They're
they're actually having fun. It's like, you guys, you're the cop, you're the criminal, go at it and do whatever you need to. And it was just the two of them just seemed to, the way they were acting, very stoic, but try to be a wee bit humorous. Give us the
But
keys, 'cause this is what cops do. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
But just to set the tone here, we've gone through quite a lot of Bruce Campbell films recently.
Well, you look at
And is
the very
there
first one.
budget to where he started his career?
exactly. You look at the first Evil Dead movie, exactly the same type,
Yeah.
which is just perfectly fun. And I think that's what came across that first scene. It's cheap, but they're having
But it's
fun doing
passion.
it. They're
It's
having
passion.
fun.
It's like you can tell that even though the motorcycle cop, he seems to kind of enjoy it. It doesn't seem to be overacting, underreacting, or
No.
he just seems to. He likes to be there. He knows he's gone, but he likes to be there.
I
Yeah.
think that I can just imagine them saying, right, you're the cop, you pull him over, you ask him for his registration as you would do, then ask to see in the boot and get me, and they've just let him go, and the two of them sort of seem to add like license and registration, and he's still going, do, do, do. What's in the boot? No, you wouldn't want to look. Give me your keys. And it's almost like there's no dialogue. They've just said it how they would expect to be said. And that's what it came across as, but it didn't come across as, give me the keys for the boot. Okay, thank you. That it didn't seem like people who you tell them what to say and they just don't know how to act. These ones just seem to, like,
It's quite a deliberate, it's quite a deliberate vibe that they set with it. And then we switch to Otto, played by Emilio Estevez, who's superb in this. And he's obviously he's a young, sort of angsty punk rocker dude. His mates are all
because they're all out there as punk.
But this was the really weird thing. It's the first time I think I'm recalling seeing him that young, and because he's definitely having a fresh haircut. It literally looks like he went from the barber chair to sit in the bed for that scene.
Yeah,
it's so fresh, it's so crisp. It doesn't match the rest of his look and the rest of the punks in like the rest of the
this is true. Yeah, he's a little bit too well coiffed. Yeah.
There's something I noticed on that scene very straight away. It just basically jumped out. What was the thing with all the brand? Right, you had in the back.
Oh yeah, I think you're jumping ahead a little bit.
That, and then everything it was cornflakes, toilet paper.
Oh yeah, that was probably it could have been a sort of, obviously, because they maybe for whatever legal reasons they couldn't use a brand name, so they went the opposite and just had fun with it and just called it food.
I think they had a
or what?
theory here, because there are a few jumps in the film that kind of stood out, and I have a feeling that they wanted to try and tell something with like the generic branding, because you have tons of other branding that are.
Well, that thing in the shop, you see it from above, panning down, and in the background you see Del Monte and stuff like that. So you see a lot of brand names in the back.
That's a good point, Jim. Yeah.
That one panel, and there's that one panel, all white, toilet roll, white, yellow peaches, cornflakes, and that type of thing. I just thought
that's a good point. Yeah.
I
wonder why they were doing that. Is it a statement? And
I think it was an untold story point. They wanted something there, but they just couldn't expand on it, or cutting didn't allow for it.
Yeah.
Because you do have, and I know we're moving ahead a little bit in the film, but when he's going from like the arrogant, ignorant punk, he has the earring. At least the version I saw, when he meets up with Bud, that literally like, this is my wife's car. She's in the hospital. She's gonna blah blah blah.
That was the Dean Stanton. That was Bud. Yep.
But it's literally like a minute and a half later, he's a little bit more better haircut, even though he's still in punk clothing, but his earring is gone. His attitude has dropped from being a little bit of like a punk, it's called mosh pit dancing, the whole like 80s rebellious. It kind of has dropped, but he's still got that attitude, because there is quite a lot of scenes going on until he starts going, hey, this is maybe something I could do.
Well, that's it. He first comes into Bud brings him into the repo office after he talks. He sort of fools him into his first job, doesn't he? He sort of tells him a story that it's his girlfriend, or that it's his wife's car or something. Blah blah blah, and he offers him the money, and that's where it essentially brings him in. And then he comes into the office, and he's still got that rebellious sort of topping
the beer upside down.
He turns the beer upside down because he decides he doesn't like them because they're repo men, and they're the system, and they represent the system and whatever. So, and then it's that sort of talk that Harry Dean Stanton's character Bud gives him, where he tells him, probably a little bit later on, he kind of takes him under his wing, doesn't he? And he says, the trick is to dress smart, dress like a square, he says.
Aye, dress like a detective.
Because they're not sure who you are then. They're not quite sure whether to move on you or not. So it's it was very clever, I thought. But that's a really good pickup on the earring. I missed that. that continuity change. I didn't notice that at the time.
He had the earring right up until I think it was until he had to go back, because when he was talking to his parents, I can at the front when that scene, I thought, yeah, I can see that happening. You know how you said you were going to give me $1,000 once I graduated? I think that's a really good idea. Could you give me it first?
Now that scene is really good, because it actually does very cleverly sort of poke fun at this era was such that there were these like TV evangelists on, and they were pulling people in droves, and a lot of them were, were housebound people, older people who were just who just were taken in by it for whatever reason, and really felt like there was something missing, and that sort of filled the gap for them. And they give their money to these people who were later on, of course,
become
all revealed as
presenters.
complete scams, And what was the one guy? I can't think of his name, and he was rumbled for like doing coke and hookers and all sorts of things. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
it was so bad. It was just so fake and so bad, but people were just completely pulled in on it.
Basically, another variation on a politician.
When it came to the parents, and I kind of recognized that era in the 80s, the early 90s. We had the evangelists, and it's like they were just like talking over TV and getting people to just donate thousands and thousands of money. And it's like, really? How? Wait. But I did, because now I rewatch it with current year knowledge. And whenever I go out and about, post-lockdown, if you want to call it that, I still see people they're walking down the street, they're walking across the street, not looking left, right, and was like, is a car coming or something? They're just like scrolling the iPhones, smartphone, whatever it is, not looking up and paying attention. That's what I saw in those parents. But this was 1984 that was shot.
Yeah.
But they were just glued to this evangelist on the TV, not even listening to what it was like. Hey, give me $1,000.
And perhaps it was a time, where people just wanted an escape for whatever was going on in the world, and it provided a strange, like bubble that people were escaping into, thinking that, that they were going to be saved or whatever, and it was scary, because until they were all uncovered and sort of shown to be absolute scammers who were living this completely lavish lifestyle, and again, that's what it's sort of taking a punt at that whole culture, which I thought was very, very well done.
It's quite an interesting stat, because I think it's actually doing it ahead of the curve, because I think George Carlin was a little bit later than when this film came out, when he started making fun of like religion and like the mega churches and everything. It's like, this guy built the universe and everything, and he can read your mind and hear your thoughts every single day and everything. Just can't handle money. He always needs money.
Yeah, he said, the invisible man in the sky, and he needs money. Yeah. George was brilliant. George was so sharp.
Did you ever see Invention of Lying?
No.
Ricky Gervais.
Oh, I was just saying, it must be a Gervais, because it sounds like his kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like he's also on the same path like Carlin. It's like, really? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. He just sticks two fingers up to the, to the establishment.
Ricky Gervais one, basically it's about there's nobody lies, so they'll tell the truth. So Ricky Gervais is in and his mum's dying, and he's just trying to comfort her, and he suddenly starts talking about how there's a nice place to go and stuff like that, and the doctors are all sitting watching him. Keep going, because they'd never heard it, because there's no such thing as a lie. So it's only the truth they'll talk about. And it's all round that, how he's telling the story of there's a place to go, so he now has to write down the commandments, as it were, just because people need this. Oh, so if you're bad once, then you can't go. No, it has to be 3 times. Oh, but what does this count as being bad? Is that? that mean I'll never get going there? Is there no point? And it's literally, it's just like a snowball. That's another one we need to do. The dimensional.
Yeah. That sounds good.
So, but that's what it reminded me of when you were saying that. No, it was
Yeah.
just one. There's a problem with the chat, I think. I don't know.
I thought it was odd because I hadn't seen anything
Yeah,
progressing in the chat.
On mine's, it's actually just coming up as there's nothing. So I don't know if the guys.
Yes.
Let's see.
The latest I have
I've
is
just
me
thrown a
responding
test
to the
and
parents
see if it
on, but
pops
I'll
up.
reload it.
So I
I can see your test.
There's our test. So they're there. So it's just I noticed in my phone, it's literally blank. I can't even see anything. So, but anyway, digression. So there is still people watching. So
Yeah.
might only be us
So,
four, but
where were we? What I thought was really funny as well is that when Otto repossesses the red Cadillac, he bumps into this. Well, he sees this girl, Layla, running down the street, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then obviously you can see she's going to play some role in the film, and he gives her a ride, and her workplace really was so funny.
Scale it back a little bit there, because their meetup isn't exactly easy, is it? It's like he
No.
sees her and gets curious, but it's that whole, there's a lot of pickup line before they actually really
Yes.
get to them.
Yes.
I kind of like that part.
Yes.
yeah, and
Yeah,
the
because
fact
she's
is,
obviously being chased by somebody.
would you see the Men in Black? See, right, leading up to that, right? So you start off in the desert, and he disappears, and then you see the van and all the guys floating around with the white outfits on, and in the van, that's where I noticed the second the guy was eating pretzels, white bag pretzels, and that's when I started thinking, are they going to do that for everything? And then obviously he's in eating out of a tin. Food. He's got beer, he pours on the floor, and then there's drinks they're buying in another shop, and it's that type of thing. But the guys in the van and the guys floating around with all these white suits on, I'm sitting there thinking, what the feck's happening? Because the guy disappears, so something weird's happening. Yes, outwardly, that word I'm trying to say. But it's the fact is the guys are floating around with the white suits on. Obviously, basically somebody's got painters' outfits, and they're just basically put the white outfit on and then just a gas mask with it all attached to it. It looks like somebody's made it for a cosplay.
Oh
So
yeah, it's deliberately, it's
it
deliberately
is
campy.
so deliberately
Yeah.
done that way, and it's
Yeah.
funny because like in the car, he's got a glass with one sunglass, one ordinary thing, and you're sitting there thinking that has to be done deliberately. It has to be. It's not just a case of here, act mad, okay, pop the centre out and put them on.
No, there's clearly something seriously wrong with this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But and it's just the way they were building up, and then you see those, and then you meet the girl, and she's from was it something Outer Floral Institute or
The United Fruitcake Outlet.
Fruitcake Outlet? That's what it was, UFO. Which I was
Acronym
thinking,
UFO.
yes,
Yeah.
and it was fun, and you're sitting there thinking, and even the bit where at the beginning when he gets thrown out of after he gets thrown out of his work. And then he's now in bed with this girl, and he's going, hold on, I just need to fold my trousers. And you're sitting there thinking, where's this
really
going?
weird.
Where's this going?
That about? Yeah.
He goes
That was very
downstairs, walks
strange.
past the guy, goes straight in, beer, and straight up. Yeah, suddenly the two of them are lying there, meant to be naked, and all sweaty as if they've been at it. He just went down the stairs and came straight back up, and you're sitting there thinking, what the
Yeah, well, it was just a bit of a, I think it was just done that way as just a silly moment, a silly scene where he can't catch a break. Everything he tries to do just completely fails or goes back onto him.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and even his friend, the one with the glasses, he puts the price tag on,
on
And
his
then
eye, on
going
his lens.
you're sitting there thinking, he seems to, he pops in and out for no reason. He's there in the shop and he's getting annoyed.
In a modern film, he would have been
he's in his
discarded.
house.
He would have
Yeah,
been
but it's-
discarded literally at the first stage of the film. It's like, oh, he got the price tag on his glasses, got knocked over.
Twice.
That would be the last we've seen of him. But he's coming back throughout the film.
You see him here, you see him there, and you're sitting there thinking, what the hell?
The thing that I thought was really weird about that guy being his friend, which you sort of figure out a little bit later, is the scene in the grocery store near the beginning where he just pushes him into this huge, like meticulously stacked
Yellow
pyramid of cans, that they've just spent all this time stacking up, and you can see Otto's temperature rising. His anger is rising at this sort of job's worth commenting to him and stuff, and he just loses it and shoves the other one on the floor. And I didn't see the two characters don't look like they would normally be friends, especially because of the people that Otto hangs out with.
Yeah, and that scene as well with the cop. He's been in a lot of later movies like Miami Vice and stuff like that. He played the Mexican drug lord or whatever. But this one of his early ones as well. He's pointing a gun just because he's arguing, and you're sitting there thinking, really? And then he's swinging the gun round in his finger. I don't know a lot about guns, but I know you don't do that because of the trigger. He's spinning it round in his finger. And you're sitting there thinking,
inside the trigger because a little bit of pressure and it goes boom.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. In the UK, we don't know a lot about guns, but even I'm aware you don't go and stuff like that. But it was just the fact is you're sitting there thinking, these guys are okay. You have to throw them out. Oh, I've got a gun.
There's also a really awesome scene where Harry Dean Stanton's character and Emilio Estevez are in their Harry's car, and they're in that sort of where was it? It's like a big flat industrial looking area with the pitch.
Oh, that's the viaduct and
the viaduct.
That's the one where they did Grease and Terminator.
Yes, exactly. And that scene where they're in the viaduct, and then the brothers who were like the rival repo men come up on them, and then they have that mad sort of car chase down the viaduct. That was a fun scene. That was pretty trippy. And then sort of Otto's starting to like take a liking to it. Then he's like, oh, I think I like this. This is pretty cool. It's just like the Wild West. They're just like a law unto themselves.
Yeah. Archer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, unfortunately, Alec Baldwin has made himself. I mean, as sorry as I feel for him for everything that happened, he's made himself to a meme that can't.
Yes, he has, of course. But see that one in the viaduct? I'm sitting there thinking, what's that got to do with anything? That's what I kept thinking all the way through. I was enjoying it, but I kept thinking, what's that got to do with anything? Because they appeared, did that, and they drove away, and you're sitting there thinking, it's another thing, right? You may be able to help with this one. See the people in the repo office?
Yeah.
Right. They gave a wee teeny bit of story in each, or you introduced them to each, but you don't know a lot of backstory, like the cop sitting there knitting. I think I think when I was watching it, I was thinking a lot's been cut from just that office, because
probably
the cop's sitting there all the time and knitting, or just the interactions later on where the girl's the secretary gets up and the two guys are there and she kicks the shit out of them. And you're sitting there thinking, she's got some moves, but it was no mentioned beforehand.
There's definitely a lot being missed there. So the police officer, the first time you see him, he's knitting. The next time he's getting something more significant, it's like, I was in Vietnam, yo. And then it's like, I fought 2 world wars or whatever it is. And then it's like, next time you're meeting him, it's like he's being defeated by a little punk. It's like, easy peasy.
It was things like, what was the book to do with anything? Because they mentioned it multiple times throughout the movie.
But that's what I kind of like about it. Is like you don't really know. And so it kind of just like weaves into the story. And this is a weird one. And I will be perfectly happy if I follow Wendology's advice and it's like recommend it to a friend. I would never ever care if they say it's the worst film ever or it's the best film ever or anything in between, because this is definitely something you have to be in the mood to watch
I
it.
think if I was going to recommend this to anyone, I would say watch it. I wouldn't say anything about it. I wouldn't give them a heads up. It's maybe because I went in, all I knew was who was in it. So Estevez and Dean Stanton. And I'm sitting there thinking, And then I
there was
watched it.
definitely a lot of creative naming, by the way, because I'm seeing the chat, so you need to catch up. But yeah, the main band providing a lot of the music.
Yes, but it was just a case of I wouldn't let anybody. I wouldn't tell them, "Oh, watch it's a wee bit on the cheap side," or "It's done this way," or "This is throughout it." I wouldn't say a thing, because I think you have to go in and you have to actually see it for the first time and make your mind up. Because if you say to someone, "Oh, well, it's cheap made and it was obviously at the early beginning of somebody's career they did, and then the acting's not great," then they're already getting in with that. I didn't go in with any expectations. All I knew was two people that were in it. And when I'm sitting there watching it, I'm sitting there going,
getting old, because I'm getting
as I'm watching it, I'm sitting there going, what's that going?
You're
all the way
asking
through.
way too
Basically,
many
something would
questions.
happen, I'll go,
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta light one up and go for it with this film.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's that
one
kind
of
of a
those-
film. It's just
Yeah.
feet up
Like,
on
for
the
instance,
the
music.
table, box of
remember they go
pizza.
into the bar. Remember they go into the bar, the first two, the punk guy and the punk girl, and then the other guy with a shotgun over his shoulder. And the guy takes his shotgun off, and then the band are singing, and like, oh, singing like that, and you're sitting there thinking, what the fuck is happening here? And that's the fact that I was like that throughout both sittings of it. I was picking up more stuff, going, huh? And I was still enjoying it. The fact that I was still enjoying it and sitting there going, because something would pop up and I'd go, yeah, just sit back and watch more. And it was literally that all the way through, because it made you actually watch it just in case there was something to tie certain things together.
Paul, Darren has requested a button push.
I never mentioned them at all.
Hang on, I have to respond again. You used the word.
Yeah, that's it. That's a shame.
The viaduct, as Darren is
I didn't
mentioning,
mention it. Darren did, because yes, they did film them there as well.
All of these really big films, they've used this. I
Yeah.
even believe in a.
I've seen it. I've driven over it. We went to the States and we went to down up Hollywood.
I'm
And
trying
we
to
drove
remember
right
what
by
it is. It's who is in. It's not the Running Man. It's Harrison Ford, The Fugitive.
The future.
Chasing him. His three names. It escapes me. Really big. like-
Thingy, the Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Yes, he's playing in. He's playing a emergency situation, like city recovery, and it's like a volcano bursting out on the city. The lava is literally flowing down in CGI, of course, but the same viaduct.
Yeah,
It's
Cool.
been used so
it
many
has been.
times.
There's a lot in that. And
Well,
I
it's
must admit,
it's forever memorialized now in those films. That's for sure.
it is. Because, as I said, when we were going through Hollywood and basically driving past it, going, this was shot in that. Terminator was shot in that.
So we get at one point we get the introduction of the woman with the metal hand, which which just totally comes out of the blue. And I don't know if anybody else noticed it, because it happens where Parnell arrives in LA driving the Malibu car, the mysterious car, and he's unable to sort of link up with his UFO people because these government agents are led by this woman with the metal hand. And there's a scene of her inside this typical sort of scene, you know, of like a federal van, you know, on the inside where they've got all the listening equipment and the monitoring equipment. And I swear to God, she's got a Michael Jackson glove over this one hand.
Yeah, because it was
the one with all the rhinestones on it. And I was laughing. I was thinking, that looks like a Michael Jackson glove.
And then later on,
I didn't really clock it, but I did kind of get the idea because she was kind of like trying to like go through like the chain links of it, and it was looking like she was twisting. I was just going, is that supposed to be like a prop, or did she get something spilled? So she's like trying to clean something out.
Yeah, it was a bit odd.
It was, and even the bit where they were sitting in the bar and the three punks come in, that was the bit when they're in the thing,
man.
and the girl's giving it the licking all over, and you're sitting there thinking, and then there's she's doing that, there's slabbers and everything, you're sitting there thinking,
I don't mean to accuse anyone of everything, but that whole scene felt like it was a lot of...
Say again, Jim?
I don't mean to accuse anyone of anything, but that scene, the whole scene with the mom, the daughter, our main hero on date or whatever it is in that bar, and the punks come in and they start licking the gloves and everything. That felt like they turned on the camera, but most of the crew, they had just gone...
Yeah.
Done something like that. What I'm saying. Do whatever you want.
See the guy with the shotgun and the mohawk, he'd been watching Mad Max the week before.
Oh, definitely.
He was doing the vibes of Mad Max, and I think the girl was as well. The fact that she's licking all over it, and yes, I did say slabbered all over it.
Yeah, you're right. It did have that Mad Max vibe. That especially that scene. It was like they were just like animals. They were worse than animals. Yeah, they had like no touch with reality at all.
Yeah, like
but they were funny.
Shotgun over the shoulders and then licking somebody's hand, and
they were hilarious. Though they were like the comic relief. Those three, they were so funny.
But it was also the fact that some of the lines they had were just perfect. Like, no, dude, let's go do some crimes.
Remember I said it was like if Tarantino directed an episode of The Young Ones.
Yeah,
that's what those three were like.
That's exactly. I suppose. Yeah, that is perfect. It's literally, you can just imagine Rick and Vivian.
Oh my god, especially Vivian. That was so funny. Yeah, to be like a Rick. Yeah, because it was like they were misfits, and they were like almost pretending to be what they looked like. They weren't even adept at that. You know, they couldn't even pull that off properly. You know, so it was really funny.
But that's very, very interesting that you picked up on that, because there is the what was his name, when he's reconnecting with his car because it's been like repossessed and stolen and blah 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 and everything, and he's confronting these three young punks, and the really bald guy, he is trying to like channel some kind of like, oh, I'll kill you for less, but he's still giving that. He's actually really into his acting, because he's going, the old guy is challenging him, go look in the trunk. And he's really able to actually play off of him.
And you right up to the point where they're in the actual, they take the guns, him and his girlfriend take the guns into the, I'm a killer me. And that is Rick. I'm a killer me. And you know what I mean? It's not actually somebody who's a killer. They wouldn't come in and go, shotgun under your nose, I'm a killer me. She's a kill him. And you're sitting there thinking, yeah, it now puts a new light in it now when you're saying about Tarantino doing The Young Ones. I now think Rick doing that, that's Rick rather than Vivian. Vivian would just put the shotgun up the nose and say, Arden, bye. Whereas Rick is, I'm a killer. Look, will I kill him now?
Yes, exactly. They were incredibly camp. They were really funny.
Yeah. And even the bit where the shootout, you know what I mean? he's got his gun out. Dean Stanton, Bud brings his gun out because they two have got guns. And the security guard saw them coming in with the guns, points his gun at Bud and says, "Drop it." And you're sitting there thinking, really?
Do you not-
behind Bud is a guy with a shotgun trying to rob the place.
Yeah, I know.
But I will have to add into this whole the gun wielding and everything. I got the gist that it was a director input. I know you can handle a gun. I know you know how to point a gun. Just make more flavor to it. Add to it. Do something ridiculous. Because I've seen a lot of these characters from this film in other films, or
Yeah, but I
even
think
in
because
background,
this is early on.
they're a lot better. But this feels like they're told to really like embellishing it, but it works so great for the entire film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I also think I think they're slightly different. I think that you can see that these are people who are just starting out their acting, and obviously with the campiness of some of the bits. But the fact is, the way they handle the gun, like if somebody was used to a gun, even if they're pretending and swinging it around their fingers, they wouldn't naturally put their fingers on the trigger straight away, and just that's how they're holding it with the finger on the trigger.
It's called gun discipline.
It's just that type of thing. Whereas I think it was a case of somebody's handed him a gun and he goes, right, point it to him. So he puts his hand on the right inside the guard. Literally any point you go and bang. That type of thing. It's basically
That's why you have it. You rest your finger outside.
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
There's a reason the finger.
I'm aware of trigger discipline. It's not a case of a go. You know what I mean? It's
you were really inching up just to get your sound cut coming in there. I'm on to you.
The fact is, I thought it was just a case of people who had held a gun, didn't know a gun. So they'd seen the westerns where the guy stands with his finger on the trigger, holding the gun, come after me, and then it's a bang, 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 that type of thing. Whereas nowadays you see people who probably they've had somebody saying, "This is how you hold a gun."
But if you've seen a lot of the more recent ones, yes, this is how you were taught to hold a gun if you did military training probably 20, 25 years ago. You're holding it close to your chest, but you don't hold your shoulder up like that. You actually hold it close because it can't be snatched, your arms can't be bent, and you can just flick, boom, whatever is in front of me is gone. And you see that through John Wick and a lot of others. So they started adapting that. But if you consider a good old classic like Tango and Cash,
yeah,
the little 6-shooter that big muscly Stallone is having, I mean, the gun is this big and his fists are like this big. But it's a 6-shooter, but he doesn't have a gun discipline. He's literally just like, I'm ready to fire whatever is going in. If he coughs, boom, off it goes.
Yeah,
but he's getting more involved to that because there are people going, it's like, hang on, you don't hold the gun like that. You don't wave a gun like that. And even if you're using the butt of a gun to smack someone in the face, you might do damage to the rest of the gun. It may not shoot straight anymore or anything. So you wouldn't sacrifice that, even though it may be needed for the scenario. So I do like realism coming back in, but in this film, realism in any aspect of the sense has no play.
No.
Well, I think that's where it played into it, because it just looked as if it was people who have got no experience and they're just trying to act tough, because the rest of it was like that as well. It's like comparing the Bruce Campbell's Evil Dead with Burn Notice, or his new one that's coming out Black Friday, which I want to see.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
I'm getting curious now.
It's like comparing the two of them. One is early on with him and who did Sam Raimi directed it. It's when they were all just up and coming. So there was a lot of things in it that you would look back and go, you can see they're just starting out. But it's not as if it's bad. It's just one of those ones. It fitted into it the way they were stoating around and he was twirling the gun in his finger. and things like that. It just sort of worked. Like when in that shootout, he says, "Hold the back," and then they all start shooting at each other. But it's a case of, right, you take your shot, then you take your shot, then you take your shot, then you take. So the security guard shoots the friend. I can't remember his name, in the chest. No, it wasn't. It was Harry Dean Stanton gets shot in the ear first.
Yeah.
For some reason, he's sponging, and there's all the tomato ketchup gets all over the place. I thought there was symbolism in that because it's
There was symbolism there, but I did not clock it.
Yeah, I think it was to do with the fact is it was all red sauce and all over him. It's although he's only got a wee cut, it was to make him look as if he was bloodied. And then this the security guard shoots at the guy with the shotgun, and then falls back as he shoots him. He falls back, and then the guy he walks over because he's wounded and walks over ready to shoot him again. Then the guy behind the counter brings a shotgun out and shoots him, and he smiles. And then turns around and there's the girlfriend with a gun and shooting him. It's almost a case of that you shoot him, then he shoots you, then you shoot him, then he shoots you, then she shoots you. And you're sitting there thinking, that's what it's almost like that. It's not a case of you imagine they're all standing with guns and one fires. You would think they would all go bang, 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 bang. And it would be a case of all over between the five of them. But it was almost a case of you shoot him, bang, right, now you shoot him, bang.
This is where it gave me that sort of Tarantino vibe, that sort of real black comedy, dark humor vibe, you know, that I thought worked very well, actually. And then you have, where are we in our description now? I think we left off with Parnell gets to LA.
Yep.
He loses the Malibu at the gas station because the Rodriguez brothers pinch it. Because they're all after it because it's got this huge bounty on it, like $20,000 bounty on it.
You get notification of the bounty just as he drives up.
Yeah. So they jump in but then they're so stupid. They can't figure out why they're so hot in the car. And meanwhile, there's something radioactive in the boot, you know, and they go out and get sodas.
Yeah.
But knowing that this car is so
in the boot.
But knowing that this car is so, but you know, like the value of this car is so high, you'd think that they wouldn't stop for anything until they got to their lot, you know.
Or they wouldn't come out, they wouldn't leave the keys in it.
Exactly. So they stop for sodas, like a couple of numpties, and they both get out. And then, of course, the three punks have done a robbery. They're looking for a way to escape, and then they steal the Malibu off the two brothers. So it's just like a great bit of comedy there.
Yeah, and I think it was really the fact that Repo Men left the keys in the car.
Yeah.
I
think it's more the sign of the time. I mean, today, I will have to admit I have a slight bias. If I was living in Nova Scotia, Canada, like 45 miles away from anyone, I would probably not lock my front door walking out of my cabin.
Yeah,
living
in London area, I'm locking my front door. I'm bolting it. I'm doing absolutely everything.
But see, that's nothing to do with this. I mean, I used to stay up north in a wee place called.
No. Back in the 80s, even if you were living in New York City,
I was the same. So you would come up in Glasgow, so in a big place, but so Glasgow, yes, you would lock your door at night. You would lock your windows, just because you're in a big city. But I stayed in a small village up north, and at night, people literally left their windows wide open because if it was warm, they let the fresh air in. Their doors weren't locked. Their cars, the kids would go out and play and sit in the car, and that was nothing unusual.
The thing I was trying to aim at, because my parents made sure I went to like the nice schools in the big capital cities and everything, but they drove me in smack into the middle of like a massive cities, millions of people around. Walked out of the car, didn't even lock the doors. It's like no one's stealing our car. That's late 80s. It's like, oh, let's walk him to the school. Let's walk back to the car. Don't even need to look at the car. But that's the thing, because this one is where I grew up. So I was literally in the first and second class when film was made. And I understand them. My parents, they couldn't care less. There was no one going to steal their car, no matter where they went. They could leave the doors actually open, unlocked. No one's going to steal the car.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thinking of the repo man. It's like, who's going to steal a car we just repossessed? Other than maybe the person that we left behind a couple of miles back that has to walk. We have a couple of minutes to go and get like an ice soda with a sippy cup and whatnot.
Yeah. But I think it's just, it sort of played into it that, right, somebody else needs to steal that car off of them. It needs to be constantly on the go. So how can you do it? Well, the two of you get out, one go for a drink, one go for a phone. But how are they going to drive away? Just leave the keys. And it's almost like that. As I said, it's almost like an inexperienced writer. Say there's certain things that are said. When he stopped taking my headphones away and my mic away, Benji's sitting on my knee and he keeps doing that and pushing the mic away from my mush. Thank you. So this guy here, and it's no him. It had the fit. It was his brother. He's just wanting attention now because his brother was getting it. Anyway, what I was saying was, it always comes across as this is early on. Somebody's writing things. Oh, it sounds good. Right, act like this or do that, and it's obviously seems quite new-ish. However, it suits the type of thing. Did you see the bit where the guy who lost his car was on the phone and the girl's on the other phone? She just so happened to be walking past and the phone rang, and it's a guy he's been looking for.
Yeah.
and it's speaking backwards, and she says, I can't understand you. He's speaking in a scrambler, and he's literally the next block up, and he's on.
And he's
I can't
going,
understand you. I'm using a scrambler. It's almost like, right, this is what we're going to do. And you're sitting there thinking,
it's
really?
almost slapstick. Yeah.
It is. The person who is looking for you just so happens to be walking past the phone you just so happen to be ringing at that point.
Yeah.
And the car who's looking for you is blocking both of you. So as soon as that moves, you're thinking, this is written. It is written. If it's deliberately written that way, it was sheer genius. If it was accidentally written that way, that was sheer luck.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm
it's
going to
so
say
well
it's
done.
not meant as the funny part, but it's definitely showing the heart of the film. It's bringing out like, what are we trying to do? We're trying to like bring all these things together, and we're trying to make it the best possible.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Colin has a very cheeky comment that, well, when our grandmas were young, they didn't have anything worth stealing. No, it was the fact that people didn't steal. Even if you didn't have anything worth stealing, they didn't.
Well, it's like when you go to certain little villages in different parts. It doesn't have to be just in the UK. It can be in the US or anywhere. And you'll see like people that sell farm eggs. They'll leave like a box for you to put your money in. And it's just all done on the honor system. They'll leave the veg or the eggs or something there. You take what you want, and you put money in the little neighborhood box, you know. And it's a totally different world. And I think, you know, like that's what Jim is saying as well. It's like
that's what happens.
It's a different world.
There's one that does that with carrots and stuff like that.
Yeah,
still do it here, but it's just the idea that I think. It's just because the way it's all written, it's not meant to be like that. It's just a case of they needed that to happen, so just leave it. Nobody will think about it. They just steal in the car. Whereas nowadays you would have some other contrived way of them stealing the car. Maybe a case of they run up and they see them coming out, and they just one of them pulls the gun and says, "Give me the keys." Takes the keys to get in the car and drive away. It would be a wee bit more believable because these guys are carrying weapons. They've just robbed somewhere. They've got bags of money. So it's just as easy. But the fact is, luckily enough, they saw the keys. You see what I mean? It's that type of thing. And I think the writer, either if he did it deliberately, he's an absolute genius. But if he did it accidentally, his luck is amazing because it just all is under the same.
Just works.
It does. It just works, and it's because the whole way through it, that it doesn't suddenly become dead serious and very well acted. It's all the way through. You've got this similar theme or a similar feel all the way through it, right up until the very end. It doesn't seem as if it's changed. Now, sometimes you can get a movie, it could be very slapstick, and as it's going through, it gets a bit more serious, or something it starts serious and goes through, it gets very slapstick, or something that's very well acted, and there's bits and pieces as you're going on. The acting just seems to get very Braveheart worse. You know what I mean? With the accents and stuff like that, and you're sitting there thinking, it's the tone's all over the place. Whereas this one, the tone's the same all the way through. So it's almost as if they had said, no, don't get any better, or no, do the exact same way, the exact same energy and everything. And I think that's why it works. It is just, it's fun. I must admit, I was pleasantly surprised.
Good.
And the fact is, twice I watched it, and each time I was going, but, and I still couldn't work it out, but it wasn't a case of, can I work this out? It's not, it was just a case of, there's something else I missed. Oh, what's that got to do with? And it's wee silly things like the cans that said drink. Was he buying beers because the last cans were beer? And then you had the bottles that were all getting smashed every time somebody gets shot, like that shooting thing, mate.
Yeah.
she gets shot, and he goes, oh, and he knocks over all the glass. And then the security guard shoots the guy through a glass because you see a glass breaking, and then he's got a bullet in his hole. And then he fires a shot at him, which smashes all the glasses beside him. Then the guy behind the counter shoots him, and you see glass bottles bloop. And then she shoots him, and he spins in and hits all the glasses again.
As you said, I mean, if it was choreographed that way, it was expertly done.
It just like me.
Yeah.
And then
that particular scene feels like we hired the store for tonight, and
you've got a lot of
you can
breakable
smash
glass, so
anything you want.
Yeah.
No, but it's all breakable glass because they're obviously not doing that with real glass because that's dangerous. But they've got a lot of breakable bottles.
I worked in the alcohol aisle of Aldi, Sainsbury's, and a lot of those places in my youth. And yes, there's been accident, but you've seen like a glass bottle from like the top shelf, and it's like dunk, 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 and never breaks. And you go, it's like, really? It's like, I literally tip a wine glass over. It's like 5 billion glass pieces across the table.
Yeah,
but a wine bottle from the top shelf is like, it's literally bouncing like a basketball.
But there's also the fact in that same one. So he gets shot, and it says it said ketchup on the bottles, right, or tomato sauce or something. And then there's other ones, and then suddenly the guy who's gets shot behind the counter hits him, and instead of saying beer, gin, it's London's dry gin, and it's still the white label, but it's been a bit more specific.
It's definitely placed there, and I actually clocked there. It's like London Dry Gin. It's like, was that even a really like such a big brand that it would have been big enough for big?
Yeah, but it's not the thing. I don't think there's a London Dry Gin because you look at the fruit at the beginning. It was yellow peach slices. So
I believe there is a London Dry Gin. I'm not the gin expert, but it definitely has to be a London Dry Gin.
But there is definitely.
Here's another trivia. Apparently, gin making in London has been banned for the longest time. You can call it London Dry Gin, but you were not allowed to distill gin in London for the longest time.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because there was the big hassle with pasties, Cornish pasties. No, isn't it? Milton Mowbray pork pies. People are saying, but it's done to the same recipe. He says, but they're not made in Milton Mowbray. So why should they be called Milton Mowbray pork pies? And it's been made that as long as they're made to the same recipe, you can make them anywhere. and you can still call them that. There was a big thing because if it worked for gin, you can't say it's London Dry Gin if it's not made in London. And it's the same idea for other places like Yorkshire pudding. You can't call it Yorkshire pudding if it wasn't made in Yorkshire. Can't call it Cornish pasties if it wasn't made in Cornwall. They try to do
And yet there is like a UK national-wide company going like, we're Cornwall pasties. You can get them anywhere in the United Kingdom now.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not made in Cornwall. It's literally made on the spot.
Yeah. They used to be made in those places. That's why they were called Cornish pasties, Yorkshire pudding. Now they're just, it's like turning around and saying porridge, Scotch.
I'm not sure if the chat, but I'm giving the chat a slight challenge, and I'm probably slightly doxing myself, but one of my favorite pubs is across the street from Sweeney Todd Barbershop, and it has a pie shop next to it.
Cool.
There's a
kid you
Sweeney
not.
Todd in Glasgow. There's a Sweeney Todd's Demon Barber.
Yes.
So
There are
there
quite
is.
a few Sweeney Todds around, but there is a Sweeney Todd Barbershop. There's a pie shop next to it, and across from it is one of my favorite pubs.
Cool.
Aye, 21B Baker Street.
No, it's actually not in London, but you can get quite quickly from the 21B Baker Street to this place.
I used to actually, there's in London it's 21B Baker Street is then in Glasgow it's 10 Glebe Street. The house of the Bruins, that's where the Bruins stayed, Glebe Street. Glebe Street is in city centre. There's no houses there. There's an office there, and one of my friends used to work in the office in Glebe Street. We used to call him Pa Brown, but just for that. Just a wee bit of knowledge. There you go, since we're talking about streets. Anyway, most people don't know about Glebe Street or the Bruins because it's a Scottish thing. There you go.
So
None of them are murderers, so they didn't become they didn't become famous.
to become quite as famous as the old
Yeah.
murderers do, yeah.
Poor Wally is another one. I've got a couple of pins to Poor Wally. That's one of the Bruins' pals.
Well, since we're slightly nostalgic, and although I obviously abhorrent and everything, but Jack the Ripper's like prowling areas,
Yes.
it's even today looking the same place, but there are some amazing pubs in that area of London.
Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Whitechapel, isn't it? Yes, I'd love to sort of.
It's like you have all these massive tall buildings. Suddenly, it's like this area of London. It's like 2-story buildings. As far as the eye can see, it's literally like a massive, like flat circle of the town or city or whatever you want to call it. And it's like just an amazing place to be.
Right.
But it's just because it has that morbid history. It's like you're walking in there and go, it's like, I'm a bit.
It's already got a vibe to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Poor Wally.
Yes.
And that's Poor Wally sitting in his bucket. And where is it? And there he's there. That's Poor Wally with his friend Fat Bob. I've got a few, as you can imagine. I've got 2 of the Poor Wally there, and there's the other one. He tried to do everything backwards. See, there's one there.
I see it. Yeah.
I've got a load of them. But yeah,
That's a great collection.
That's a very great collection.
Anytime I'm away somewhere, so all the pin badges I've got ones from every holiday I've been on. So I have. So
It's great.
anytime I'm
Yeah.
away, there's a pin badge. I'll buy one. So I'm a sad guy. I can't help collecting.
So what did you guys think of the sort of bringing it into the conclusion now of the film? You've got we've talked about the filling station scene. We've talked about the fact that we've had the shootout in the convenience store,
And
but then
we've missed
Otto
out
realizes that he can take the Malibu now.
yeah, and
So-
the guy he basically sees the guy and he chases after him, and then the guy dies, so he dumps him in the car and just drives
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, and then Otto brings it back to the lot, and I know that scene where he's locking it up on the lot, and then he just leaves, and you know what's going to happen because you think, there's just like a little lock on the gate, and this car is so sought after, and it's drawing so much attention. How
It's
is
the
that
best
car
in the lot.
actually going to be there in the morning when
Yeah,
he comes
and-
back? You know it's going to be gone.
The dispatcher or whatever he was, the owner, almost like his favourite saying, it's the best car in the lot. Yeah, I mean, it started off with remember the big couple, the big guy. That's my
Yeah.
car. It's the best car in the lot. Then at that car, he brings it over, and somebody stole it. It was the best car in the lot. It's almost like I was saying earlier that these guys had a bigger story, like the girl punching out the two agents, and then their friend, the cop, comes in and threatens her with a gun, and he pours hot coffee over him. And you're saying, have we skipped a step? How did they suddenly become so, let's be chicken, and I want to be a chicken thing because the way he's quiet and all this? Suddenly he's running in and threatening somebody who he has spent a lot of time with a gun, because these two guys that he'd never met, she beat up. And you're sitting there thinking, oh, what's this about? I'm going to keep saying that. What's this about?
Well, there's a point at which the car has become so radioactive now that it's glowing bright green, or it's some form of energy. We don't even know if it's radioactivity or whatever it is, but it's now caused the car to start glowing.
The agents sort of implied radioactivity, but the UFO people said it was 4 alien bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't
So
know.
you've got different.
It's basically the suitcase from Reservoir Dogs.
I did
You
notice a
don't know
little
what's in it.
Reservoir Dogs in this as well.
Yeah, you don't know what's in it because you just see the light, but you don't know what's in it. So,
and the sort of interwoven in between some of these scenes is this wonderful character played by an actor, Tracy Walter, whose character's name is Miller, but he's the sort of backlot philosopher, isn't he? And he's one of those actors that you've seen in everything.
Yes, he's definitely.
And he's literally done like hundreds of TV shows and films. His sort of IMDb list is insane. And I mean, he's been in Starsky and Hutch. He's been in like proper Starsky and Hutch. He's been in like
Are we talking about Bud? Because I
Tracy
think
and
he's
Miller. They basically.
Oh
He's
no, I was thinking of Bud, like the mentor.
No.
This
is the kind of like
IMDb I have ever seen. 205 actor credits.
Who's this now?
Bud in Repo Man.
Oh,
So
Harry Dean Stanton.
Yes, because you were talking about the other one, and it's like,
yeah.
There are some impressive people in this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, see, Tracy Walker. Yeah, I mean, as you said, he's been in. I'm just going back how far back someone's Serpico. He was in Annie Hall.
Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch. WKRP in Cincinnati. Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, he had guest roles and all those. Yeah.
High Noon Part 2. The Fall Guy.
Yeah. And he always plays
Seven Brothers.
The brilliant thing is he's always manages to play these really unusual.
Yeah, I think he actually does.
Freaky characters that are, but he's endearing. at the same time, you know, he always plays like an out there type character, but he's actually he's a bit like Reverend Jim from Taxi, you know. He's sort of
Well,
he's sort of wise,
he
but
was
in a very
Taxi.
out there way.
He played the panhandler in Taxi. It would have probably been one of Jim's friends. But he was actually in Conan the Destroyer. So he
Yeah.
was with Airwolf. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff, Moonlighting, some of the stuff you don't expect him in. Alf.
He also played the Bob the Goon in
Bob the Goon
the
in
Batman
Batman,
film
right.
with he played with
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson,
Okay.
yeah.
Give me the gun. He was that one, Bob the Goon. Because he kept taking out the gun and handing it to him like that. So he handed it to him, he took it off him and shot him with it. Bob the Goon, yeah, he's done some really good stuff. And there's just amazing what things he's been in you actually don't even think.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's why he seems so familiar when you see him. He's just one of those actors that's been in so many things.
Yeah,
you see, today, having been such a big movie, film, TV show consumer in the 80s, 90s, and everything, it's today suddenly a character just pops up. And I will give, even though I've heard a lot of bad stuff about the actors around the TV show called Smallville, the guy that played Superman in Smallville turned up in the recent Lucifer TV show, but instead of a fit, young, like American football back, chiseled jaws and everything, he's still fit looking, but now he's gray haired. He's definitely rounder and everything. And Tom Wellington is his name and everything. But it literally took me 7 episodes before I clocked where he was. And I refused to go to IMDb to like, oh, who is this guy? But it was like, I recognized him. But it was like, you have the teenager here, and you have someone that's like 40, 45 plus.
Yeah.
Here.
Well,
And it was like such a massive gap because I haven't seen anything between Smallville and Lucifer where he was. And that was just an amazing thing. It's like, I remember liking his acting capability in Smallville. And then suddenly he's just turning up in the middle of a TV show that I already liked because you had the other characters really bringing it to life. So the guy playing Lucifer, he does a really good job of that. The detective is also doing that, but her supporting cast from the police department, they're supporting her really well. And this is how you create a really good story. And then suddenly it's like an actor you haven't seen in years.
Well,
and
you look at one of the most famous ones like that, Lanier from Babylon 5.
Yes, Billy Mooney.
Billy Mooney. Danger, Will Robinson. Yeah, I mean,
Lost in Space, yeah.
Exactly. I remember watching Lost in Space, and it took an absolute age. I'm sitting there thinking, he looks like I didn't recognise him. Somebody says, Will Robinson. That's who he is. It just took somebody else to actually say who basically the character. And I'm sitting there thinking, never under all that makeup or everything. It's only when I'd seen him out, I'm sitting there thinking, definitely know him from somewhere. And yes, he's grown older, but he's still very recognisable. And it's like, I suppose Macaulay Culkin looks terrible now, but you can still tell it was Macaulay Culkin. It's that type of thing. But there's certain people who change that you couldn't put a name to, even though it takes a while. I've been watching, believe it or not, The Ranch. That's a 2016, so it's not even that old. It's a TV show, 4 seasons. And it's basically a lot of the cast from that 70s show. But when they come out, because they've aged a wee bit since then, apart from 1 or 2, like Ashton Kutcher and what do you call him, Mark Matheson. The other ones, you're sitting there thinking, oh, that's the guy who plays Fez. oh, that's the guy who plays Kitty. That's the guy who plays, and it's literally like that. You're seeing them now, but when they were on that 70 show, they were a lot younger.
Yeah,
And
I
it's-
mean, when it comes to the not aging people, by the way, I do support the LGBTQ community and everything, but I do think this guy is looking gorgeous. It's Keanu Reeves. When I discovered him in Bill and Ted,
Yeah.
way back then, but when I've seen him in John Wick, it's like, has this guy aged? He has like the same kind of like cute, charming, laid back look, whether it's Point Blank or Matrix or John Wick or Bill and Ted. This dude is looking the same across everything, and it's just like his career is spanning 40 years now almost. He hasn't aged today, has he?
No, well, you look at some of his really early stuff, even before Bill and Ted. He was in one. It was a wee bit part he had, and it was somebody's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And even in that, it basically you could say, yeah, he's going to be really good. Then that was quite a serious role. He played sort of a skater type, and he just seemed a bit lethargic. And the mother was no happy because her daughter's going out with this waster, and then. And even the wee bit he was in, you're sitting there thinking, even then he was great. And then he went and did the Bill and Ted, and he was dead funny in that. And it's now you look at him and doing like he did the Matrix, then you look at John Wick, he can turn his hand to anything. The sign of a good actor. You look at Leslie Nielsen, started off as a dramatic actor, a main leading man.
But
He did
mostly
Cynic,
renowned for his
and he
lead
basically
stuff.
somebody asked him to do something, and because he had a sense of humour, but he still played it straight. And he had Police Squad, Aeroplane, and all that. And look how his career's changed.
Don't call me Shirley.
But that's
Roger,
that
Roger.
kind of thing. Yeah, I love the Aeroplane. I've got both of them. But it's just a case of certain people you can see are great actors. It doesn't matter if they're in for a wee bit, like Harry Dean Stanton and Tracy Walker. The two of
If
them,
you that comment still on the screen, it will be on the chat, but continue your chat. Hold that because I have an amazing comment on it.
but the
John
John
Williams.
Williams did the music, that one. Right. Where were we? Or did you interrupt us? I'm going to do what we're going to do.
Sorry.
What we're
We
going
were
to do.
going through Aeroplane and
But I'm going to give it the. Or
don't make me push one of my buttons because I have no clue what my buttons do.
I spent a whole night actually making sure it all worked. Pressing every button.
It's button roulette.
I bet there's like a post-it note next to each button on your end.
Yeah. Or you could be very dramatic and actually tell us all how they all go. So
No, I'm not touching any of my buttons. I'm not.
I
But
stopped seeing your buttons.
if John Williams did the music for the TV show Lost in Space, that's like really good. But there is an amazing YouTube, what's called like an honorary contribution to John Williams. And I'm not dropping a link, but it's called John Williams is the Man. It's an a cappella performance, but only the really, really clever people will notice what song that John Williams is very famous for, not the most famous for, very famous for, is actually not being played.
What, this one?
Gucci Prada.
I have no idea. I'm one of the dumb
Cute,
ones.
that is.
No. So John Williams has done everything from Jurassic Park, Star Wars, Lost in Space, tons of these things. You know John Williams when you hear them, but this honorary like mention to him has one of these really big ones. You think you hear it, but it's actually never played. it's actually never translated. It's not played. It's the one thing that is missing, but you think in your mind that you've heard it because it's essentially the title.
Well, I have no idea. Music stuff very rarely actually gets me. The big things from like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, I recognise them all. So it's that type of thing. But I didn't even notice music playing over it. And I suppose good music's meant to be like that. You don't even notice it is playing. So,
But that's why I like the honorary like tribute to him. Tribute is literally the name. It's all the other songs that he's known for, Jaws, everything that he's been doing. They're in there, but the main song. But you think you hear it, but it's not there, and that's what's so brilliant.
Yeah. Is Tom Ellis the one that plays Lucifer? I think I saw the first season of Lucifer. So Tom Ellis is the one that plays Lucifer himself.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
is
could
brilliant
see
as
that,
that.
but I could see him more as the master. No, a proper master, not this messy rubbish or the maniac. I can just see him as a Delgado type master.
A very elegant
brooding
master.
And very elegant, brooding and sly, not a nutcase. So I would say more of a master because he's obviously got that persona.
Yes, not to stereotype him, but yeah, he does have more of a villainesque sort of look about him.
See,
but why is it always too American? And sorry to put you on the spot here, Ontology, because you're self-professed coming from the colonies or whatever we're supposed to say that the people that went over there. I don't mean
I like
it in
the
a bad way,
colonies
but
personally.
yeah. But what is it for an American individual, because you're the one with the closest relationship, why is it that a British person, especially one that goes like the posh, stiff upper lip, why is that a bad person? Or evil?
I don't think that it's necessarily thought of as evil. I
no,
think
I think they
I'm not
can
sure.
play the evil better because
Yeah, I mean, look at
they're
Alan
so-
Rickman. I mean, he was always sort of pigeonholed into the villain character in the American films, which was unfortunate.
Come on, Professor Snape.
Yeah, you look
Yes,
at an
that's
English
true.
upper class Englishman could be a
But
very deceitful, evil because of his thingy. But can you imagine a Scot? All right, you're going to get it, big man. Yep, he sounds dead evil.
in a way, though,
he's not
I think
sophisticated evil.
in a way, though, I think there's a tremendous fascination with British culture, and I think it's actually, in a way, the fact that the villains do tend to run away with the film sometimes. They tend to steal the film because they're so charismatic and they're so polished that I think that's one of the reasons why.
See, I think that's what it is. It's the polished persona behind it. Because a lot of the evil, bad, whatever, is because they always come across as very educated, very debonair. But they're not that good. That's what it's all behind it. It's someone you would expect to be. If somebody actually looked like a villain, they're no scary because you would be scared of them. But if it's the ones that don't look it or don't sound it, you get more scared of because you realise he doesn't look scary. But when he does something that's scary, it's more impactful. So someone who's very well educated, very well spoken, and they suddenly turn around and go, "Yes, could you give me that?" Bang. And then you suddenly go, "Oh, wouldn't expect it." And that's what makes some of the better villains because you don't expect it based on their persona.
But you see, you did foil my master plan here, because I was actually reeling it in for the Christmas season coming up, because we have the greatest British, although he's playing a German, villain of all time. There is no Christmas
movie
until Hans Gruber falls off the Nakatomi Plaza.
Yes.
That is when Christmas starts.
That's, to me, I'm sorry, I'm on the side of that is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie, but it's not the greatest Christmas movie.
Oh, yes.
And I'm telling you,
Go on then. Go on then.
told you got this one.
You're really up
James
to the game
Bond.
on the soundboard.
Bond.
I need to figure out what my buttons do.
Yeah. Or as Russ Abbott used to say, the name's Bond, Brooke Bond. TG tips. It's a T. Just for those Americans amongst us. TG tips or Brooke Bond is an old Russ Abbott thing. And everybody knows
see.
Russ Abbott.
Sorry to jump in, PJ. I see we got Cam. He looks to be doing well today.
Yeah, excellent. So I'm just trying to go back because obviously Kellen came in. It actually made me think out my wee BB gun. It's a BB gun because the UK we don't allow even things that actually look like it. BB guns, you can tell they're all orange round the side. So they are. I think I've actually gone by that one. Lucifer, there's the Lucifer one. So we're there. There, your gun. Do you know what? I've never actually shot a real gun. When I was in the States, I was going to, but
Mhm.
was the risk because I'm right-handed.
You have another hand.
I know, but because I'm right-handed. Can I?
No,
It's-
guns
Yeah.
are essentially point and click. And yes, you're likely to miss a little bit more with your non-dominant hand.
Yeah.
Still, they don't
But I just
quite
never
have
got around to it
power.
because of that, because I can't even sing me, so I would have to. And
Well,
most
generally, they recommend that you steady your shooting hand with your other hand. So you would need to be able to use your other hand to the extent of at least being able to, especially if you're on the range, like on a shooting range with
I
a
could do
pistol,
that
you're steadying
enough.
your shooting hand,
So I could
ideally.
do that easily enough. So I could, but doing that because there's the thing maybe that it's a case of I couldn't actually get in and out quickly, so that's what I would have to do, and that's a steady hand. So I could do it with a pistol, but I also want to try a long rifle. But most
Yeah.
rifles with the breech is always for a right-handed. There's very few breeches that are for a left.
It's not that complicated to make a left-handed or right-handed gun. to
Yeah,
be
but I
honest.
must admit, I've not got the experience to do it for myself. But what I'm saying is, majority of them are designed for right-handed shoot. Just for the simple fact where the breech is. Because if you do it the other way, then suddenly all the bullets are coming out by your nose.
As breech trained, yes, you're coming around the corner, but if the cartridge is ejecting that way, but you're standing with the wall this way, it's going to go boom. It's just literally going to hit the wall and smack you in the head. So you need the other way to breach the wall.
Yeah.
Depending on scenarios, but there are also ways of turning the pipe around. But I do know that you do get loading mechanism and like charging and all that different. But there are gunsmiths that can do it. Although here in United Kingdom, guns are literally like super way over the top control.
See, I'm just jealous of some people. They got to fire real weapons, whereas
Well, it's not everybody, but I think because I grew up more in the countryside, I certainly had no interest, nor did I hunt. But at the same time, because hunting is quite a commonly done thing, more in the countryside, there is more of a gun culture when we were growing up. Plus, I was in sort of upstate New York, so it's kind of. I mean, when I was old enough to be able to be shown how to do it, my own mother showed me how to shoot a BB rifle, and I used to line tin cans up. But she set up like hay bales and things like that, so that when I shot at them, the BBs, there's not enough,
Basically,
power really in those, but they can do
Aye.
damage to obviously an animal or to you if
Yeah,
they ricochet.
I've-
They
I've-
tended
I've
to bounce.
basically- Aye, because I've shot a pellet gun, which is just re-lead pellets, or
Yeah.
the re-lead the darts. We used to play darts with a pistol.
Yeah.
Basically a lead pistol, basically stand and shoot at the dartboard. And
Yeah.
just a pair of pliers to pull the arrow. But you had the wee lead pellets which would flatten out, or else you had the ball bearing type. We used to shoot them, but that's rifles or when you pump, put it in.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what
just-
they had. They had the air rifle, the BB
Yeah.
gun air rifle, where you had to you had to prime it, and build the sort of pressure up, and then it would shoot. So it was God, that was a long time ago,
Yeah, and
70s.
yeah, so that's the same idea as that BB gun. You have to cock it to get it to go. So nothing at the moment, but as soon as you cock it, it's the same idea. So it's a very thingy, but we used to do the ones where you had to and pump it up, and actually it fired lead pellets. That just fires the wee plastic pellets. But we used to fire them, but I'm talking about something with a bit of kick.
Yeah, it was funny. My mom and I, they were calling us Annie Oakley because we went to a local shooting range, which is literally like spitting distance from where we lived. There's shooting ranges all over the place, and we did a little like a gun safety weekend survival course where they just teach you everything. You have to pass like a little written test to understand exactly the different parts of a gun and different types and blah blah, and then they give you a range test. And I still have all my targets that I saved, because I really, really enjoyed target shooting, but it was, unfortunately, it's a kind of an expensive hobby, because even back then, if you bought a box of what they called like flat-headed bullets, like wad cutter bullets, they called them, there's no point on them, but they're just for just shooting at the targets in the range. That was a tenner. And you'd whip through that box in no time. So you had the range fee, and then you had buying the ammo as well. So it was fun to do. And I kept it up for a little while after, but I found, it was just a little expensive after a while.
Yeah. It's the same as when we were in Vegas, there was people actually saying, you can shoot any gun, and they're saying, even 50 cals, and they were handing you, and you showed you a bullet. And I asked him, I says, how much did it cost to fire the 50 cal? He says, it depends how many bullets you buy. So, one bullet was $8. Imagine even many you would need to buy for a 50 cal to go more than a second. So even you buy 10 bullets.
If they were charging you $80 for a
$80
cal bullet, they were definitely fleecing you.
Yeah, that's $80 where you just go burp, gone. You know what I mean? So that's the tip price. So yes, I can imagine somebody spending $200-300 just so they can go. But yeah, it's that type of thing. It's
No,
something I would like to do.
50 cal I would use for a PSG or like a proper sniper rifle. Like, give me a very long distance target and see if I can hit it.
Well, I would love a sniper rifle. See, when I was in holiday, just before the lockdown, we went to Lanzarote, and it was the pellet gun and rifle, and they were having a shooting competition. And I came in, but only a pellet gun, but I do like range. I had to wear my distance glasses, mind you, because even I'm aware of the hold the breath and all that, because we used to play with my
But
air rifle.
something they usually do if you go to the tourist stuff, because I remember it from my youth where it was proper ammo. It's if you didn't stock it up properly against your shoulder, even if it was like the tiniest like little fiber thin gap, and you fired it, it would rip your shoulder off. You would be aching for a week. But if you go to most of these shooting ranges today, they don't have the same power. There is not the same amount of gunpowder. So it's like it's enough.
Oh, that's
You'll
interesting.
hit the target, but it doesn't have the proper kick that a real live bullet would have. It's a
Yeah.
lot less. It wouldn't surprise me if it's like 50% less.
Probably, and it's a lot of it is to do with they realised, especially for shooting ranges and stuff like target shooting and stuff like that, they realised that unless it's extremely long range, they don't need it. They don't need the same kick, the hitting power, and it's a lot of the time is less, especially with ranges and stuff like that. They know people go there, especially in a holiday resort. They probably deliberately shortchange the powder, just for the simple fact is you imagine somebody goes up, goes through the wee training video, goes up and goes bang, and it flies out their hand because it gives a bit of a kick. Oh well, and it's that type of thing. So whereas if it's got less kick, there's less damage to less likely to drop it, or they're less likely to, damage the weapon itself by doing something silly stuff, things like that. And it's obviously going to have a longer life because it's not as much powder going through it. So I think a lot of holiday resorts where they get people, tourists in, they probably have ammunition which is less powerful, just for the simple fact is they don't want to. They want people to have the experience. It'd be like giving them blanks as long as it sounded the part, unless they were doing some type of range shooting, stuff like that. Because you remember you used to go to the carnival and you used to get the wee BB gun which was attached and it used to
Yes.
and it fired the
Yeah.
wee lead pellets and you had to take the circle out of the target. So it was
Yeah.
it was like Thompson. It's the same idea as that. It was just to give somebody the feeling of actually doing it, but it was the under any circumstances feel real, but it was just so people could actually say, well, I shot Thompson, and it was just sets firing out pellets.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Cool. Yes, a long time ago, in a continent far, far away.
Yep, definitely. My boss just handed me a "Let's Go" Brandon sticker.
Well, it depends on which side it is. Either he likes Brandon or is what's it called? Subtext. What's it called? Translation type. What's it called? The subtitle.
I don't know.
Well, the Let's Go Brandon has definitely a lot of
It has got a subtext to it.
subtext. That's the one. Thank you very
It
much
has
for
got a
educating me.
subtext to it, but I think at one point it probably did have. Now it's a super text because subtext is below the line, supertext is above the line.
Yeah.
I think if I remember my
But
processing, it's subscript, it's lower, superscript is above.
to be honest, if I'm looking at things and trying to put what's happening in the world today, pandemic, elections, and I do mean literally globally, there is stuff going on in Brazil or whatever it is with apparently the one candidate running for the major seat and everything. People are accusing me of everything except corruption because that's the one thing they cannot accuse me of. Just go, it's like they're accusing you for everything under the sun, but not corruption because that's the one thing that they cannot pin on you. I'm just going, that's bizarre. And then you have what's ever going on in China and Australia, whatever. It's like, really, we're literally living in the film times of what the films we were watching in the 80s.
Yeah, well, you know when you get a bunch of politicians, basically it's clown world, and you can always tell when somebody's a politician. They start talking out their arse. People go into politics for the best of reasons, but as soon as they're in, the reasons disappear.
Sorry, I don't even believe that.
Yeah, it's all to do with that. Not every single one, but there is a lot of people who go into politics because they'll say, or so-and-so's corrupt, they'll never do anything. I need to get in there because we need to get this done. But as soon as they're in, somebody will say, well, if you do this, we'll give you this. And they'll go, okay then. And then suddenly they're just as bad as the people they thought were bad. So they get engrossed in it and they just get dragged into it.
Yeah, sorry for me. Anyone voluntarily walking into politics, not accidentally, but actually going, they're 13 years old, I am going to be prime minister. It's like, yeah, we're probably going to stay away from you.
Yeah. Mind you, when they're at school and somebody says, you are going to be prime minister.
No,
I love
that
it.
teacher
You
needs
guys
to
are
get
so
fired.
great.
That's what you get.
No.
See,
Politics and
some
journalists
really
are
good
two
stuff.
people I really stay far away from.
Yes, and me.
I know, it's basically, to me, even people who go into it for the right reason doesn't last long. Because as soon as they're embroiled in it and they realise they can actually get X amount for this and X amount for that, then they go, well, everybody else is doing it, so I might as well do it as well. And that's where you get the problems with.
That's never a good excuse. Everybody else is jumping off the bridge, therefore I should jump off the bridge.
Yeah. See, what you were saying there about the trigger, I remember years ago my father had organised a charity thing and it was a shootout. They had a lot of people doing the shootout and I was watching them. So I was expecting them to come out, pull out the gun and bang. They didn't. They were actually standing with their front hand and just going, doing. And it was literally just out the holster. They already had their hand on the trigger and then just hit the, what do you call it? The pin. And that's all they were doing in a revolver. I was disappointed with that. I was expecting them to pull out the gun and go bang, and that was how you see how they drew, like the old westerns. But then I realised that they actually just stand there with their hand on the trigger, pull it out, put it back in within a second, and that's what they do for a fast draw. That's not what I wanted to see for a fast draw. I wanted two people to go bang, but obviously couldn't do that because Alec Baldwin, even with blanks. So even I'm aware that you could do a quick draw against somebody else, even if it's just firing blanks, because it's dangerous.
You see, this is going back to my really old geeky days. And okay, it wasn't quick draw, but we had these. What is Cisco? 8120. There's probably someone in the chat that will Google it, but it was like an old mathematical calculator you can have with graph drawing and everything. But here's the thing, you had about 64 kilobytes of programming you could do, which allowed you to like input the pixel and everything. And I wrote the program, very, very bad graphics, but it was essentially like a cowboy walking up to you. So it was literally like a straight line and a half circle and a stick figure. But he was holding his hand and getting ready to draw. But because of the memory only allowing me to have 6 frames, but because of random, I could make him either shoot at frame 1 or frame 4, frame 6, but you had to shoot at the right spot. Basically hit enter button at the right spot. But if you didn't shoot when he shot, he would kill you. But if you shot before he shot you, you were a murderer. You didn't do self-defense. And I did that programming when I was about 13 years old in school. And you had these Cisco or Casio's 8120s or whatever they were called.
The type of the thing, it was a Casio.
Oh, Casio, okay, yeah.
There you go. And in the States, how long is it going to be legal? They keep trying to actually take them away. And as was shown in Australia, once they disarm the populace, they can do what they want. Did you see the bit on Twitter where the police are going around the supermarkets and stuff like that, asking people for their papers? because
I did see something about that.
Australia
Yeah.
has locked people down. If you're unvaccinated, you're not allowed to leave your house unless it's for something emergency. So going to the shops to get your food, and there's one or two other things I can't remember, but they're going around all the furniture shops asking people for their papers. Can you imagine going down the shops and the police come up, papers? No, no, I would tell you. But this is the UK and Scotland. Scotland's going to follow it.
Haven't
Yeah.
Scotland already implemented like partially passport for the vaccine thing?
I couldn't tell you. I've not actually got a passport, and I've told anybody it's asking me for a passport, as I'm not going to. I don't need to know.
I'm saying this out right now. It's I do understand vaccine. I understand how they work. I'm definitely getting vaccines, shots, and everything because it's essentially a flu shot and everything. But a vaccine passport, I will never ever get.
No.
If people in Florida, sorry, Kellage, in the chat, but if United States demands that I need a vaccine passport to go to one of the places I've really enjoyed visiting in the past, sorry, I'm not going. Florida will miss out on my money.
Yeah.
If Florida can afford missing out on my money, then
No, it's the same as, it doesn't even need to be a holiday. It doesn't need to be a holiday. If a venue says to me, you need to prove something, the only passport I'll ever use is when I'm getting on a plane, and it's the passport to enter a country.
But the passport is being introduced in even extreme measures. Going out to like just grab a coffee at Starbucks or whatever, it's like, really? I have to get the government paper to go outside to get coffee, and I have a coffee machine, I have coffee beans, I have milk, I have water.
Well, that's
I'd rather
exactly
make
it.
it at home.
And if they say, well, you're not allowed to go to a pub to talk to your phone, okay, YouTube. Talk to my friends on YouTube. Don't need a pub. Save me a fortune. I can buy plenty of other stuff. Right. Jim, you're talking about in the UK, the winter in the UK. This is no winter yet. This is a Scottish summer t-shirt weather. Although I must admit, I've been bloody freezing. Even I've been bloody freezing.
Yeah, we used to have really good winters when I was growing up, and for many years after I was working, you know, you'd be not unusual to drive home in about 6 inches, 8 inches of snow that had fallen during the day, and then there'd be hardly any other cars on the road at some point, which was nice. And I was lucky; I had a nice little low center of gravity, like 3-door Dodge Colt, and it was really good in the snow, front wheel drive. And I wasn't really bothered driving in the snow. The icy patches were the horror show because you can't really do much with that. But the snow, we used to get some really good snowstorms, and then it just started wimping out. You know, I can't stand when it's like just slush, and it's either, you want either snow or nothing. The best
heavy snow.
Yeah, the best snow I've seen since I lived up here was up the top of one of the valleys that we used to live after we got married, and I used to get some pretty decent snow cover up there.
Yeah,
nothing on the order of.
I used to stay up north, just by Inverness, and the snow up there.
I bet they get some.
When my first daughter was born, she was pregnant. We went up to visit. We drove all the way up on the Saturday. We were going to stay until the Monday. We got there, it started snowing. So we jumped in the car and drove back down the same day. And by the time we had got to the Drumupter Pass, it was that bright. The snow was that heavy. I had to turn my headlights off and drive in my side lights because the headlights was just bouncing back from all the snow.
Yeah, it's weird.
And as soon as I got through it, they closed the Drumupter Pass. And it was closed for a week and a half because of the snow. Nothing was getting through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I do miss those
I
proper
love this.
winters.
Dogs love the snow. My buddy,
Yeah.
he snow, sand, or leaves. Anything you can kick, he loves it. So he does.
Yeah,
a
watching the
nut-
dogs in the snow was great fun. Yeah, they're like little kids. They just run around out there and jump
Yep.
around in it. Our collie loved it.
Definitely, they're nuts. So they are. I'm just trying to see because those are. I think I've got one of them in the snow. He literally looks as if he's frozen. So he does. He looks evil as well, mind you. This. Does he not look evil?
Yeah, demon dog.
Yeah, that's not evil. It's the green sparkler. It's kind of like the Green Lantern. It's like
Yeah.
Yes,
He-
that's
partially
what does it.
hero ready.
He loves the snow, so he does. And he
Aw.
always does. But he jumps up. You kick the snow to the left or the right, and he'll jump and bite it. He does the same with sand, or he does the same with leaves. Anything that you can kick up. Grass as well. Yeah, the rest of the time, you could actually give him a stick and try and throw it, and he'll just ignore you. You have to kick it. And if you don't, he'll stand at your foot and bark until you actually do. Not case dogs.
Oh.
So yes, but I love this
Guys,
stuff.
I'm gonna probably have to bail because I'm starting to fade here.
Yep.
Usually kicks up a bit more in the evenings when you have a bit of
Yeah.
a cold. So
I know what you mean. But
yeah,
Well, you started out raspy, but it seems like the exercise of keeping you talking kind of improved.
it has helped. Yeah, it has. It has helped. And now all of a sudden it's like come in full circle now. Now I'm noticing that it's sort of coming back again. It's really weird. But I have finished my Lemsip now, so the hot drink was helping. But it's just that
well, the hot drink got me as well.
that's exactly how I sound.
But when make sure you get your rest and don't get up too early in the morning.
yeah, definitely.
You've been raspy,
Yes.
you've been down under the weather.
Yeah.
Don't just like jump out. Take your minutes.
Yeah, well, I started work a little bit later than normal this morning. I didn't get on till probably about 20 minutes to 9.
Yep.
And I have a fairly big meeting at 10 tomorrow, so I'll probably give myself a little extra time in the morning, start about
Yeah.
8:45 or something.
Yep. You need to actually get the rest especially
Yeah.
if you're doing meeting. Yeah. Not like that.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm the minute taker, so I'm lucky.
Oh,
I
well.
can just sort of go
Aye.
and just sit and listen to people. But I usually pop in at the beginning, and then I have to pop in if I have a question about something. So, but
Yeah. Well, there you go. Archer says, Wendy, get your gun. You'll be played by Doris Day in the biopic.
yes,
Well,
I
I will kidnap you a little bit with all of you, and I do apologize for that. But say the next 120 seconds. So,
Yeah.
DJ, how do we score?
Oh yes.
Yeah. How would you score?
Excuse me.
How would you score it? How would I score it? I would score this a good 8.
That's good.
It is definitely fun, and it's not something you can say, oh, I understood that movie. It's something that every time you watch it, you would pick a wee bit something else and think, well, I wonder if that means this, and change it, because it seems very slapdash, and it's almost like they try to tell a big long story and it's been cut. It's trying to work out where the story was going to go.
Yeah.
But I must admit, I actually enjoyed it. It was fun. So definitely, I would say an 8 for me. It's not the greatest thing, but
An 8 is
definitely-
more than I thought you were going to give it, so that's good.
No, I would say an 8, just for the simple fact is I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. The twice I watched it, I didn't think the first time, I'll need to watch this again. It was a case of, then I watched it again, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, what's that? There's more, it asked more questions, which was great. I enjoyed it just as much the second time as I did the first time. And it was just because it's like watching a good comedy. Just because you've seen it doesn't make it any worse because you know the jokes are coming or what's happening. It's a case of enjoying it as it's done. And I think that's why I gave it an 8. Initially, I was thinking it was probably the first time I watched it, I would have said about 6. But because I watched it the second time, I enjoyed it just as much.
Good.
Can I actually say it comes down the way, just if you enjoy it just as much the second time?
Yeah.
Definitely, it was a well-picked win.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. It's just a mad fun. What did you think of it, Jim?
Well, I'm actually going to surprise you even more. For me, it's an 8.5, if I'm going to be brutally honest. It's one of those 80s, let's just make something kind of build together, like string together a lot of really weird things. Because if you look at most of the repo drivers that are educating our main hero, they really have very little in common with each other. One is a philosopher, another one is a gangster, another one is like, oh, if anyone doesn't match me, I'll do that back to them. It's a disjointed story that actually comes together really well. But it's just the cult-like delivery of it. It's like you can tell that this is a story people will remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this story far more than I remember any Marvel film made in the last 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just stands out that way. Is it the best film ever made? By no means, never, ever, not even close. But does it have entertainment value, which is the important thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
It does.
Definitely know them. There it is. But I think, Jim, you had it right in the head. It is one of those films that, under no stretch of imagination, people say, this is the greatest film ever made. But it's bloody fun.
Yes.
And that's basically it, because it is fun. So, but thank you, Ren. That was a perfect one.
Good. I'm really pleased. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be boring and have to say an 8 as well, because I can't give it a 9, and I enjoyed it too much to give it a 7. So I'll settle with an 8 as well.
So a good all round 8 for that movie.
Yeah.
So clearly I'm the weirdest among the bunch here then.
Yeah.
Give it an 8.5.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But,
all right, both.
Thanks for joining us, Wendology.
And
Yes.
Wednesday, Doctor Who's birthday stream.
Yay.
The Unearthly Child. An Unearthly Child. Not a timeless one, an unearthly one.
Don't even go there.
You guys just need to point me in the correct direction whenever I need to.
Yes, we will.
Definitely.
We will get you the right links for that.
Yep.
You've got BritBox, don't you? Is it BritBox or no? It's iPlayer.
I'm sure it's a one-click button for my
You'll
TV
need iPlayer.
system.
Yeah. So we'll get you the right thing. Oh, is that the one that?
He had this.
Oh,
he's all
bless
better
him.
now.
He looks better now.
Yep.
He looks a little tired.
And Daisy's just sitting up there.
A little sweetie.
The two of them are actually getting jealous of each other now.
Yes. That's what we're used to. We're used to the squabbling in the background. Yeah.
Sorry, my stuff, not junk. Keep on forgetting and sliding into my wife's language when I describe my stuff. My junk.
Oh.
But so look forward to next week, next Wednesday, and we'll see what we'll do for Saturday. We've got enough idea, but we'll
we'll see how it goes. This weekend, I'm going to be on the Script Doctors Live doing one of the Peter Capaldi two-parters, World Enough and Time. Sorry, I'm losing my voice now. But it's on. I've retweet. I know. I've retweeted the link on my Twitter page, so you can find the link from there. But it should be a good time. We always have a good laugh on those streams. So if you're around, I think it's 4 p.m. UK time. will be
Good
on.
luck.
So
Like
they're a
Ben said,
good
we're-
laugh.
I'll try to be there, but usually I'm stuck at work until about
I know.
5:30 UK.
Yeah, it's usually the same. Well, I'm not on the weekend normally, but yeah, I know what you mean, Jim. So anyway, have a lovely evening, both of you.
too.
And I'll catch you next Wednesday.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right, Jim. So what now? Right. I'll
Right.
cut that.
Because I was going to say that Cam's just made me dead jealous. And a lot of different weapons, including grenade launchers, a 50 cal, and a Thompson. Was it the barrel Thompson or the clip?
Yeah, you see, I done the Thompson.
Yes.
I done not the grenade launcher, whatever they called, like you just drop it. It's like rocket
Mortar.
propulsion mortar. That's the
See-
one, yeah.
Never fired, never flying me, but I know a lot about weapons. It's because one of my
So-
friends used to actually have a brown vest, so she did. She
So
was
the
a reenactor.
biggest thing I've ever fired is a. I don't even know the model. I believe it's like based on a T-34 tank. It's called an M90 Leopard, I believe, where it is, but it's based off another model. But it's essentially like this massive, huge tube. You just like chuck it into like a tray, pull it down, and then the captain and the driver is just going, "Oh, well, shoot that way," and it's like, yeah, your ears will pop even if you have the headset on or the like the ear guards on. That's the largest one, and only once, because obviously that probably cost a lot of money. But it's like I was barely strong enough to lift the actual what's it
Yeah.
called round.
Well, I can honestly say I've never been anywhere near a real one, except in museums. But one of my friends, she used to have a brown vest. It obviously was working, but they never used to use wadding. That was it, just to give when they were reenacting. So really,
Everything from soft air guns to .22s to PSD 90s to tank cartridges, mortars, whatever they call.
even at the carnival, they said they used to have .22s, but to me, they weren't .22s. They were pellet guns, just using small metal pellets. But
I was we were
.22s,
corrected, and everyone is just going to say like the .22s, they're just pellet guns or pellet rounds.
we'll just call her Wendy Oakley. I've never got to try any of them. I'm jealous.
I never done a machine gun as in like firing hundreds of bullets. I have loaded one, but it was never firing. It was just like this is how you need to load for like the machine feed
Yeah,
or literally like the line going through. And I can kind of understand it because if you're firing something stupid like 300 bullets a minute, it's like if one bullet, okay, this is exaggerated, but if one bullet is costing you £1 and you're firing 300 bullets in 60 seconds, that's 300 pounds a minute.
yeah, that's what I was saying about the 50 cal. The guy was selling them for $8 each. So
Yeah.
even 10 of them would be less than a second, and that's $80.
Yep.
So to get a good, yeah, I mean that's a lot. But yeah, Archer, I'm aware of that. That's what I was saying. That at the time they were going boom. Now I appreciate that they couldn't do a draw on each other to do that because blanks are still firing out projectiles, even if it's just the padding and a wee bit of the paper, whatever, anything in there. I've worked on building sites where they've had the triggers for nails. So basically, it would actually
Charging
fire it,
caps.
and it had the firing cap. So yeah, and even
Firing
that used to go, and that could come out of the barrel of the nail gun. I'm aware of that, but so at the time when I was younger, I was saying I was expecting all that, but later on, I do appreciate that they couldn't for safety reasons. So I learned. I did learn, but when I was a kid, I just wanted to see them go whoa, to each other because you saw it in the telly, but that's not what a quick draw competition.
I found myself on the other scope of it. It's like when I first joined, one of my most dangerous jobs I've ever worked with was a galvanization company,
Yeah,
which is you weld your beams and everything. You're building like your highway bridges and everything, but it has to make it rust free. It has to be dipped down into liquid zinc, which is 458 degrees centigrade, which is probably like 98 billion Fahrenheit or whatever. It's like it's stupidly hot. It's not that bad. You can still be close to it. And I am facetious when I say 98 billion. It's probably only like 1800 Fahrenheit or something. It's very hot. It's liquid metal. It's about 4.5 times boiling water in terms of heat. But in order to make the zinc stick to the metal that you're dipping it into, so you can make it rust free and it will last literally like 50 years, you have to dip it into some kind of like sulfuric acid, SO4, I believe is the chemical. So, I've been such a long time since I've been in school, so I don't recall all of that. But the acid reacts with the liquid zinc. So when you dunk in the cold metal into 450 degrees centigrade liquid zinc, it just goes. And if you don't take cover, you will have it landing in your face or wherever.
yeah, of course.
But that's
Can-
one of the most dangerous jobs I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't. I must admit, I don't think about it. When I was younger, I used to have to climb up 4-story ladders just to actually do some bits and pieces on the edges of roof. Now I couldn't even actually climb up 1-story ladder. But it was literally one ladder, somebody holding it at the bottom, and you're climbing up 4 stories in one wooden ladder. But that was a
Well,
long time ago.
it was back in our day. It was like, oh, I'll hold your ladder. Oh, hey, lady. And then they're just walking off and you're climbing up and they're not even holding on to it.
Yeah.
No, because they
Cam
just
Cam
walk
is
off.
saying, if I had the Thompson in Las Vegas, my nephew's done that, but he didn't do a Thompson. He did 4 different weapons. I think he did an AK-47 and he did 2 handguns. And when they were in Vegas, it cost him about $200-300 just to fire 4 weapons, 2 pistols, 2 rifles. But it was only 1 clip from each. But I don't know what ones it was. I'm sure it was an AK-47. I'm not entirely sure what the other one was. And one of them was a Glock as well. So I don't know what the other pistol was. If I had the choice, I would want to fire a revolver. I would want to fire a Colt 45. I would want to fire a P90, and I would want to fire a Thompson sub. So
So P90, I can agree with you because Stargate. But if I really would want to go somewhere to try guns, it would be the reenactment place where they do Gettysburg, where they have a lot of the old
as I
school
said, my friend
guns
used
and
to do it with
muskets.
the brown
And
base musket. She used to do that, and she loved it. And it was the English Civil War. They used to do so they would basically do a lot of that. So Napoleonic stuff. Sometimes it was earlier. It depends, but yeah. But I'm talking about if I was going to shoot just at shooting range, it would be specific weapons I would like to try. So things like a Glock and all that, I would like to try the older weapons. For some reason, I'm not old. I'm classic. You see, I like my classic weapons as well. So like a revolver or a Colt 45, a P90 is obviously not a thing, but it's
you
a bit
see,
more iconic.
P90 for me is peak modern gun because of the way it just works. It's probably for any gunsmith, it's like, oh, don't worry, that's like outdated 100 years ago. But I would like flintlock, literally like pull it back and you have like the saddle or whatever it is that's actually hitting the flint and you have the the gunpowder wrapped in a piece of paper, and then you have like a metal lead ball that is literally been stuffed in just so it's as tight as possible. Zero accuracy, but just to fire it, just to see what it
I
is.
wouldn't say there's zero accuracy. If it was a rifled barrel,
No, literally flintlock guns were extremely known for zero
no.
accuracy. It's
You're
like
talking
you
about
aimed
you're
and
talking about a
hoped.
brown bess musket, but they still had rifle barrels, even though they were basically they were loaded the exact same way. The only difference is the barrel was rifled inside. That's why you get a sniper, is because American frontiersmen used to fire at I think the bird was called a snipe. That's why they're called. That's why the people who are like me are called snipers now, because people
You
used to
snipe the
snipe.
sniper.
But it was because they used to snipe, go sniping, and it's the fact is, so that was still a flintlock, but it wasn't a smooth bore, which a brown bess musket was, like they would do in the Napoleonic. They still had rifled barrels, so up to a couple of hundred, 100 yards, probably they could still be quite accurate.
But
So
yeah, you're stepping a little bit ahead. The flintlock gun I'm talking about is like the French, like I challenge you to a duel. I will
you're
kill
talking
you in
about
the
a smooth
morning.
bore. You're talking about a smooth bore musket.
Yes, yeah, but that's obviously top of the line engineering. And as far as I'm led to believe, and I'm by far no gunsmith or expert or anything, sniping, sniper rifles haven't really changed a lot in the last 60, 70 years. They call it the PSG 90. There's like the massive, when you see in the film, it's like The Rock. He's like 6'7" and he's wearing a sniper rifle and it's like 3 times the size of him. That's still like engineering from 100 years ago.
Yeah,
The
because a lot
Mauser
of
90, which is a rifle my mom used, is still considered an exceptionally good rifle for sniping shooting, as in long distance shooting. And it was made in 1890. That's what it's called, a Mauser 90.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's there's a set range they could do, because eventually the curve of the earth, they have to calculate it. So the snipers are not just somebody that can aim; they have to actually take into account the earth curve and do all that. Yeah, I can't actually shoot long enough that I actually even have to bother about that.
I can't even see long enough for the earth curvature to actually affect my
Yeah.
sight anymore.
No, but it's all to do with it's the rotation and stuff like that, because it does affect how it the bullet drops and stuff like that. Really weird. I've seen it because I've got some firearm videos or DVDs, so I have.
But
I've
you see, we
watched a
had
lot.
this when we were like 6 or 7 year olds in school. It's called trigonometry. That's why you sit here, you're ready to shoot. You have your spotter over here, says, that's the distance, that's the distance. All you need to calculate for is time.
Yeah. See, I've never read the Legion of Superheroes comics. I can't remember them. So the political leaders were actually co-opted rather than elected. I prefer Terry Pratchett's definition. When Rincewind goes to Forex, he's in prison, and the guy next to him, he says, "What you in for?" He says, "Oh no, I'm the mayor." He says, "What you jail for?" He says, "The reckon it saves time. You serve your term in jail, then when you've actually somebody else becomes mayor, they get put in jail because it saves time putting them in jail afterwards." Terry Pratchett was one that his idea of politicians was spot on.
I would so vote for that, especially seeing what I've seen today. It's like, yeah, you want to be prime minister or mayor? Okay, there's some prison time involved here.
I've been in the tank. We
Uh,
did armored vehicles, so we did. Me and my wife did that 1 year.
I realize Wendell, you may be off, but did she have the tank where you actually got to do this, which is kind of wrong, or did she have the levers? It's like left goes forward and this goes less forward, so you turn a little bit because you're not full, but
Yeah,
You
But
equalize, they go
we never
straight.
got to drive them. We just got to ride in them, unfortunately. So we did. So I don't know what one it was. It was an APC. So there was a load of us.
Well, I got the fully modernized one. So the captain, that is to actually one's like, oh, we have a target over there. Suddenly the turrets just go in. It's like the tank is going straight, but the captain has seen something like a weird angle behind. And the turret is just because he presses a button and it automatically goes that direction. And then it just tells the gunner, fire. Boom.
Yeah.
Wherever the captain is looking, that's where the bullet is going. Or
Yeah.
whatever it's
Uh,
called.
Colin's saying there that he had the feeling quick draw competitions are done with guns that are not able to actually shoot bullets. Yeah, but you remember I'm talking about the 1970s. So they might have just been using blanks on proper weapons. Even in the UK, I don't know. It's just because I was a kid watching them. So you're talking about 75 to 80 is when it was. So I was still a kid. So that's all I remember. They were doing it. I was expecting to come out with a long run shooting, but they didn't. That was it. But I don't know if they were fully uh, plugged barrels or it was just one that they just used to use blanks because in the 70s, you know what it's like. It's changed now because they're more aware of things like that, but I don't know.
To be honest, some of the 70s show I've seen, if you look at the fire, you do see like the dripping spark coming out. You can tell like there's like oh, you remember those? You had like a wound up wheel of like a paper. You can like unwind it and you could
Cap
like
gun.
put your thumbnail and you just drag it.
Yeah,
It was like pop, 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 pop.
caps. Basically, cap gun.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's
You used to
basically
have
what they
all them.
used mostly back then. They didn't use real cartridges or like blank cartridges. It was like the gunpowder paper wheel. So it's like it did make banging noise, but it like just spewed out a few sparks. That was all it did. Didn't have a cartridge or bullet or anything in it.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think I've seen quite a few of them in the early Bond films as well. You see,
Yeah,
it's like
I'm
the bad
aware.
guy is shooting, but it's like just a couple of sparks just going.
Yeah, but well, see, I thought they were using more. I think a lot of the thing they have got it's a firing blank cap. It's a cap similar idea to the metal ones, but it's instead of actually coming to the point, the corrugated point where it's an actual firing cap. I think it was just mostly paper with a metal thing they used to actually set it off, and it was wadded, and then the barrel was plugged, so it was literally just give the sound, but it wasn't actually nothing was coming out. That's what I understood because even one of my friends, well, we sat and watched a couple of movies getting done down at our work, and they had the police officer there because they had pistols and we saw them setting them all up and they were bang bang and it was almost a case of they would do 4 or 5 but it was almost like a cap and then they would empty the revolver of the padding and stuff like that but it still gave the sound but the police had to be there because although the barrels were padded they still looked realistic, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Colin saying that given that many people are apparently actually leaving their jobs, yeah, considering England have said that they're short of medical staff all the time, yet they're losing about 60 to 80,000 NHS workers because they're saying get the jab or you're out. And about 60 to 80,000 have turned around and says we're out. So they're saying there's a drastic shortage of staff, and then they threaten and then they lose 60 to 80,000 of their staff members from cleaners right up, and they're turning around and saying it's no, it's the fact that they're threatening people now shows that they want it done. They don't care if they've been caught out in their lies. You look at the guy in Wales. Basically, he's the one that's advocating people wear masks indoors and there's no gathering, was caught at a party standing in a middle of a big group of people dancing, no mask, nothing. Yet he's the one advocating for everybody wearing a mask indoors.
I've seen that across all the countries I keep tabs of. Germany,
Oh, they're doing
all
it
the
across-
Scandinavian countries. Even in America, you have she's super popular apparently among the young kids, AOC, whatever she's called. She's seen literally hanging out at like a big step with, it's probably like 40 or 50 people surrounding her. No one is wearing a mask, but she was there for a photo op. And when the photo op actually took place, not behind the scenes cameras like filming her just chatting, but when the camera for the newspaper took place, everybody put on their mask.
Yeah.
Well, not smile, but like, hey, I'm wearing a mask. And then it was back. It was like, mask off, sit and chat.
No, but it's the same idea. You look at the politicians, you see a big gathering, none of them are wearing masks, but all the servers are wearing masks.
Yeah.
So basically, you've got money, so it doesn't affect you. You've got power, it doesn't affect you, but the guy serving you drinks, it affects him, but you're standing next to 50 people without a mask, but the guy who you employ has to wear a mask. That shows it's nothing to do with anything. It's all to do with-
None of this is based in science.
Exactly.
None of it. If I'm vaccinated and you're not, and we're meeting up, I have no reason to fear you. I'm
Exactly.
vaccinated.
The
You
fact
may
that
carry it. I may carry it. I'm just a lot less likely to have it badly.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's
the way
another
this
thing as well.
is you're unvaccinated, therefore you're danger to me that is vaccinated. That is not true. That's
So
not
they're
how
effectively
vaccines
turning
work.
around and saying my vaccines only works if you've been vaccinated as well.
No, it doesn't.
That's not how vaccines work. So if they turn around and say we need to get everybody vaccinated because your vaccine doesn't work unless they're all vaccinated, you're sitting there thinking, are these people freaking listening to themselves?
Yeah, but apparently Bruce Springsteen is a massive vaccination superior, big brain knowledge, because he held a concert in New York somewhere and said, oh, if you have this vaccine, you're allowed in my venue. But if you have the vaccine that has been given in Canada, you cannot enter. And I'm just going, you're a musician and have decided that one vaccine you're okay, but another vaccine that's also been proven for rollout amongst millions of people. No, you, the musician, you get to decide what vaccine is allowed on your venue or not.
Yeah, but that's the thing, mate. They let people with no talent and no power to tell people what they are. I was just looking at Kelly Inch, the Border Collie lab English setter mix loves the snow. My Yorkie loves the snow. Toy fox terrier, I can understand. When I was growing up, I had a half fox or half bulldog who used to love the snow, but he used to run around it. And we had a whippet, and the whippet used to hate the snow because it was too small and skinny, so it was always getting cold. Whereas I would expect the Yorkie, because it's a lot smaller and it has to bounce through the snow, and it loves it. It's weird. Whereas Mother Yorkie doesn't like the snow. Dogs are as nuts as the rest of us. Right, Kelly, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, but I've told
Thanks, our crazy
friends,
cool.
it's when it comes to vaccine, it's a vaccine.
Yep.
It's been tried, tested. It helps you out. Make sure you doesn't get too ill. And if there would have been bad effects, by the time I got it, about 3 billion people had already had it. By that time, I could make up my own mind and go, it's like, it hasn't been 100 million people dying from it. I'm safe enough. But
Yep.
vaccine passport, I will never agree to that. I'll
No,
take
the
the
fact
booster
is-
jabs, I'll take anything like that. But a vaccine passport, my healthcare situation is none of anyone else's business.
Well, that's
Well,
the thing. If they're effectively turning around to you and say, you need to give us your medical information,
No.
right, watch me, tell you my medical information. You are to me unimportant. I'm actually looking at some pictures here of when I was in Moscow. So as because I've got a picture of me.
You had a slight twang when you said Moscow, so I heard
No.
Mokpao from from the 1980s disco band Moscow.
No, but the thing is,
Where they from? You pronounce it just like they did. They did Rasputin and everything like that as well. American disco band from the 80s.
I don't know because I'm not a big music one, but unfortunately, Moscow is the city in the Kremlin, the English version of it. It's Moscow. However, near me, there is a place called Moscow, spelt the exact same way.
Oh, you
It's
told me that it's in Scotland.
Moscow, they call it, but
Moscow.
it's spelled Moscow. But we were told it's Moscow. It's how you pronounce it. So we got it wrong accordingly. I'm just looking at some of these. Hold on.
Yeah, I found the music band I was thinking of. They were called Bonnie M.
Boney M, yeah. I know what one you're talking about now. This is some of the when we were in Moscow. Oh, what happened there?
No, that's definitely not Moscow.
No, what happened there?
That's not Moscow either.
It'd be something. I basically loaded it up. There, it's there.
There we go. This is Moscow.
Right. So,
Yep.
World War One vehicle. Look at them. It was just fun.
The thing is, people look at those vehicles there and goes like, "Ah, that didn't look like it would protect against anything." But no, it was just simple engineering. It
Aye.
had angled plates. When a bullet would come, it could not penetrate because it couldn't go in because the angle, path of least resistance, was just deflecting it away.
Yeah. The thing is, as well, a lot of the times it was a case of it was metal, so it was in effect just to actually protect the driver because they knew fine well didn't matter if it was 3 inches of metal or 1 inch of metal. If the bomb hit you, you were gone anyway. So it was only just to actually protect against small arms fire, nothing else. I'm just actually that's
Well,
me.
one of the most amazing facts I discovered about World War II is apparently for every one human being that was killed by weapons fire, it required a metric ton of lead, a cubic meter of lead to
Everybody
kill
who died,
one human being.
more people died of starvation
Yes,
than
they
died.
did, but the fact that you needed to fire a cubic meter of lead just to kill one, and they killed what, 40, 45 million?
Yeah.
On both sides, obviously, but it's like, that is a lot of lead.
Yeah. It just goes to show they're all nuts. What is not thingy fun? People like me who enjoy watching it would not survive in it, and it's because you can take it as an entertainment, but if people actually think it is going to be fun actually being in it, then they're nuts. Even I'm
No,
aware.
you see, I'm down the line of, and they did it really well in terms of story, even though it was minimal in Fallout 4. War never changes. There's always someone that wants to kill someone else.
Yeah. You see Cam's in Vermont. Vermont.
I wanted to go there last time I was
Vermont is
up in New
mentioned
York.
in White Christmas, where the snow. Two of them were going to Vermont, the other ones were going different places. Repo Man, yep. Tonight was the first time I saw Repo Man, and I was very happy I saw it. So
I've definitely seen it before, but careful, Cam. You're starting to show your age there, mentioning VHS,
Dr.
despite
Colin,
both of us owning it.
thank you for joining us, Colin. Thank you.
Oh, we got the captain in here, but he's about T14 Armata. Am I missing something?
What's that?
It's a bit later. You're still catching up.
I'm just actually getting. I'm just trying to think it because years ago, New Year's. Right.
Yes, I was in New York in a very, very cold New Year's Eve.
Well, I was in New York, and the day we arrived, or the next morning, we took a walk down Central Park. It just started snowing, and by the time we got through Central Park, there was 6 inches of snow.
Yep, that's what
Perfect
happened to
walk
us, and we went
through.
up to the fountain in the TV show The Friends, which was
No,
still
well,
there in
we went to the
2018.
bit where Home Alone was done under the arch.
Oh, that's where we actually exited. So it was probably about 10 inches of snow by that time.
Yeah. So basically, that's where we went because we went in and walked up and out at that part, and then we went into Times Square, and then we came back round. Yeah, my friend had the brown bess. She loved it. I've got a load of Napoleonic stuff. I would like to get a brown bess, or a Baker rifle. A brown bess musket, smoothbore, or a Baker rifle would be my two options. Yeah. So the
You
brown
see,
bess would be
I'd go
good
back
for
to
me.
a Mauser 90 because that was my mom's favorite weapon because she used to belong to a local shooting club and she was apparently quite good.
Yeah. Sharpshooters, basically, that's where you've got the TV program Sharp, based on the Green Jackets, which were brought in after the issues Britain had with American sharpshooters during the the American British War, the War of Independence. So they brought in the Royal Green Jackets after that.
Yeah, so we had that in the military service.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much passing your ability to shoot and hit the target, but if you did do well, you had about 4 seconds, 3 rounds, less than a 50p size at 30 meters, so 90 yards away. Then you got the gun rifle on your left arm.
Yeah.
Which told people that you know how to hit, you know what, well, you don't only know how to shoot, you know how to hit and
Yeah.
really hit something.
Yeah. Captain, there you go. Hi, Cap.
Otto the
Otto the
garbage.
garbage man. You mean Otto Parts?
That's where it goes.
Yeah. What
But
do you think
that
of the
one,
new
that
T48
is a lovely
Armada?
looking tank that the captain is mentioning.
I've not seen it.
I would recommend Googling it. It's a very lovely looking tank. Definitely has it's definitely a tanky looking tank. It's not
A tank,
overpowered, but it's definitely looking tank.
a tanky looking tank.
Yes.
I like that. Right, let's have a quick shifty.
And mind you, it's not 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger's muscle on top of muscle. It's just like this looks like a tank, and it does look like it means business.
It's there. So, what do you think of it? Oh, very nice. Very nice indeed.
Can't say that I know about the new.
Right,
Right?
like, look, watch. I need to actually dig this out a wee sec. Where was it? What a mess. Right. Remember I was showing you tanks, right? This is the picture I've got. I'll put it behind that picture so the two of them are separate. Right. Okay. And So I'm going to share this.
Right, let's see what you got.
Right, so that's the one I googled it, and that came up. Right, the Russian tank. Right, so I'm going to minimize this out the way, and behind it is a picture I took when I was in Moscow during the 70th anniversary. You watching?
Yep. Clearly, was someone standing behind you taking the snap.
It basically was a very iconic one. It basically I was standing right next to the filming crew, so they were filming it and me because that is from the TV show. I got the same picture, but I got it from the screen because I've got that, but it's blurred, so I had to get it from the screen, and it was the guy standing next to me. Although it's Russian TV, you can speak English, thankfully. And
so I dropped the one that I had from my Wikipedia in the private chat, but it is essentially just showing you the design of the tank. It's literally meant to deflect bullets. It's square spaces. It's like right angles, everything. If a bullet comes in, it will literally just bounce off. It's not the fact that if you fire like a Panzer penetrating bullet, it's just that the angles are just so efficient that it has nothing to bite into.
The T-34s and stuff like that, they were all like that. Because I'm trying to see if I've got any of the other ones, because I've got a load of pictures of tanks. But most of them have got. But there's one there. That one. Look, there's one here.
Did you just drop off? Because I'm seeing myself on big screen at the moment. Right, guys. It's Jim the Viking Takeover here. I'm certain PJ will be back very soon when he's realized he's clicked.
Don't ask me what happened. Don't ask me what happened. I think I closed the wrong button.
You ruined this because I was trying to steal your show at the moment.
Right. So there's the other one. This is the one. Share the screen. Because I was looking for this, and that's where it kicked it off. Yeah, I mean, there you go. A couple of the tanks, but you can see that one there. Even in the second World War, they knew about the sloping armor. Look at the sloping armor of it. Obviously, that one now, basically, they've got it down to an app form. But it looks cool, I must admit. Definitely looks cool. So it does. The Abrams, I like the Abrams. The Abrams look nice, but I think that one has actually got a more sleeker look about it. Although I must admit, it's only the M1A1, the Abrams. I've not seen the M1A2. I'm assuming there's not a lot of difference between the two.
So obviously that's stolen from Reddit, the thing I posted on private, but that's the tank I got to drive when I was doing my military stuff. Although I only drove it for like
very nice
3 hours in total. But it was good fun. And clearly he clicked the wrong button again. We're having one of these evenings, guys. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I wish I knew what button to push to like keep entertainment. Whilst we're waiting for Peter to come back,
blaming
the next
you.
couple of shows are going to be.
Every time you send me a link, I go to close it and it closes my whole browser
One
down.
link.
I know, but when I close that one link, it closes my whole browser down. I have no idea why, but every single time it just close that one tab, it closes my whole browser, and that's what's kicked me out twice. I
sent you one link and you're kicked out twice.
No, the first time was the one you sent me with the
Wikipedia one.
The Wikipedia one, right? And the second one was that one there. But
I
both
was
times,
just trying to pretend to be innocent that I sent you one
Yeah.
link, but you jumped out twice.
look at that. They still sell a brown best kit you can assemble. Yeah,
Oh, where would
I bet they do that in the US, but I bet in the UK they don't. But I would love to get a hold of a replica one. And I know a company that does replicas because I was looking at a replica P90, £180. A replica Thompson, £180. And I want both of them. They're basically just wood metal. They look the part. No moving
They look the
parts.
part, they're
No
gorgeous,
moving
and it's like
parts. No
well
even
crafted.
even the cock or even the magazine comes out. It's just one thing. I mean, they look great, but that's all it is. It's just the parts. It's basically wood and metal to make it look
Mhm.
authentic. But the magazine doesn't come out. It's all assembled. So like you couldn't actually pretend you're actually loading it up and it's nothing. No moving parts in it at all. But £180. I want the P90 and I want the Thompson. But they also had a revolver. I've got pictures of them somewhere. I would need to dig them out. God knows where they are.
Tension. Eddie.
Tension yourself, big man. Know what I mean?
Alright, big man, you just watch yourself or you're dead. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough.
I do think I have one that goes very close to the Full Metal Jacket, where he's literally ripping into. It's not Private Joker. It's the Delonofrio, the bullied guy that has a little bit of weight trouble.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I
Yeah,
know
but
what
what's
you're
the
talking about.
sergeant's name? Because he was actually a drill
He was a
instructor.
drill sergeant. I
I
don't
think
know
I
his
have
name.
that
I
on
know
like
the one you're
4
talking about.
clicks on my voice changed. It's like it gets very close. It's like
Well, see, I've got 4 clicks, so there's
That's the first click. The first click's just a basic, very squeaky voice.
Second click just takes it up to a deeper voice. Third click,
It's very low, but it's a wee bit more.
as Alvin and the
clownish.
Chipmunks.
It's just more clownish.
Then this one is very slow, and I can even speak dead fast. It just doesn't sound right. It just speaks dead slow.
It sounds like you're drowning backwards.
however, we have the echo. So
Now you're in a cathedral.
yeah. So I can actually. The good thing is I've got some more good stuff in this one. This one actually works. Good music, a good slap, some bits and bobs, and they have got some good ones like definitely the best actually effect when somebody comes in and gives us any hassle, Captain. Or very dramatic. We want to give the good point across and see how much it's great. Or we could just actually. Boing. But I definitely like
Gucci, Gucci, Prada.
some of the stuff.
The only one I dare try for that is
Awesome! Awesome!
I believe you had that one. If I'm trying, I'll try my gunshot. Just so you're ready. Here's my
Right.
gunshot.
This is mine. Mine doesn't have the cocking, it just has the thing. I think my other one has the cock and gun. But the yell,
I believe I have the same.
yep. Then you've got din din. Bing bing bing. Yeah. See the good thing is, but I have got I need the toilet.
I have the same thing, but I think I need to actually turn it off.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah,
What about
I
have
just
you
had
got-
to
Have you
reswap
got the
the microphone.
minions? Have you got your minions?
No, that's on my second board, which I'm figuring out how to turn it off.
So anytime we talk politics, we can talk politics.
That's not Minions, but it's
That's what
It's something.
what's marked on my button is Minions.
no, it's more.
But yeah, what else has it got? Let's see. See, I've got two laugh options. There's the short smile, it's classed, and I don't know why it's called short smile. me,
That's
that
kind of like an audience laughter.
Yeah, that's a light laugh, whereas you've got a belly laugh. But one's
No,
called
that's like a. So the first one you press, that's like an audience laughter at the comedy stand-up show, whereas the last one is like a group of kids like pointing and laughing
Yeah.
at someone.
See, the one's called short smile, and the other one's called laughter. Short smile to me is a small laughter or a polite laugh.
No, this is big audio crowd
And
audience.
to me, this one,
Now it's
that
about
is almost
four.
like a belly laugh. So it is.
That's 3 or 4 people laughing.
But I do like. PUBG.
Hang on, I do have that one as well.
That's PUBG.
Yep. I believe, but on mine it's called 9277.
My 9277 is this. So that's my 9277. So what's that mark for you?
So it's the same kind of thing that I have on my
Yeah,
board
but
as well.
my 9277 is the one you've got. My PUBG is what you've got is 9277.
No. We have the correct. So my PUBG is your PUBG. My 9277 is
a very
same.
similar amount board. That's good. So
I'm definitely too old. I understand what PUBG is. So Player Unknown Battlegrounds. But I have no clue what 9277 is from.
No idea what that is either, I must admit. But I'm
so happy I've got my voices done now. I've been trying to get them just so I can actually pretend not to be me. I'll turn my camera off and be wee Jimmy Cranky.
We are the Borg. Resistance is futile. Your technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. See, I would say that's more bow before the goal. See, it's more of a my eyes are blazing bow.
If it had a little bit of lightness to it, you would be bow before Zod.
What? Bow before Zod. Let's see. So I can actually bring it down a bit, or I can take it up higher. So
you need a little bit of deafened echo because you're obviously saying it at the moon, and when
there
it
you
comes
go.
down to
How
planet,
does that sound?
a little bit too deep,
Zod.
little bit lightness,
Bow before Zod.
too much echo.
Bow before Zod.
I think you went too far. If you go back to the original, you were closer.
Bow before Zod.
That's very good.
That's a lot of treble, so it is.
That's too light. That's too dark.
Less bass, a lot of bass. Son of a bass. Yeah. Your distinctiveness will be absorbed into ours.
This is just a caution for anyone trying to start streaming.
Yes, we're just messing around. So we are. Come and have a go if you think you have.
But you seem to know what your stuff is actually doing. I don't.
Yeah, because I spent a video just pressing a button, seeing what it did. I love this one, so it's deadly. So
I take this one. And I could be the teacher from the Wonder Years. Now, if you look at this chart, it will explain how A plus B becomes C. So,
And that takes me back to that. So
empty. That's me to back to normal or primal, it takes me back to normal. Although the
It's
way
interesting you're playing on MC as well, because I do have internal play, which brings them up
I've got
to
the internal play on
voiceover
because
and MC.
see, I've got the voiceover on. I've not got the reverb on because if I switch it on, you can hear it. Listen,
In nature,
did you hear that? In nature, but
Yeah,
it's
you
got,
get the one. I
reverb.
get the same.
Aye, but did you hear it? That's what I was saying when it
Yeah,
was.
I heard B major.
Yeah, but I think the reverb sounds really good. However, it's a pain in the ass. So
It's very cathedral like.
it does. So back to MC
B major,
B major. So I kind of get it switched out. Voiceover at this time. So
I believe you have to go KTV.
yeah, no, it's not. You have to go primal. Takes you back to your normal voice.
But I did hear a swap. So I am on my internal voiceover and MC, but you said you swapped to primal. And for me, I heard a distinct difference. So I'm going to try the same here. So I'm going to go from MC at this point to primal sound at this point, and then I will swap back to MC and let you tell me if there was any difference between them.
There was if you do MC, you've got it's slightly lower pitch. So primal, accordingly, primal takes you back to what it should sound like. MC is you're doing it. Your mic is actually controlling the voice a bit better or a bit muffled. And I've got the
In
reverb
nature.
on. I
Yeah,
think
you
I've
got the reverb on.
Right, I've got it off again. I forgot. I've got the echo still on. That's what I'm hearing. Bloody echoey stuff.
I'm surprised the chat wasn't jumping down your throat. It's like, you have an echo on.
I've got an echo. Sorry, there's a great book about US Marine gunnery sergeant named Carlos Hathor. Next confirmed because Vietnam. Yeah, I've not read the book, but I'm aware of that. What was the book called? Was it just? Was it called Confirmed or something like that?
It's something along the line of that. I think I've heard about that one, but that's like a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember that. Hold on, I'm getting a wee bit of a weird. Oh, I forgot the treble was up. That's what it was. So turn the treble off, and it gets that lid of that high pitch.
Yeah,
I remember.
you see, I sort of figured out what most of the stuff does on this weird board, but I have no clue what wet dry does for me.
No clue what?
Wet dry. I have a slide that says wet dry. I just put it at 50%.
See,
I have never touched it.
I've got 5 sliders. Monitor, which one's for headphones, one's for the monitor. So because
monitor is a wheel knob for me.
Well, I've got my slider is treble, bass, record, and music. And the record the music because it doesn't really make any difference at all. Because even if I put the music on and put that on.
You see, I don't have them.
Yeah, but I've got this one right. If I put it on, then I slide the music up. Made zero difference. So I slide the music up. So I don't know if the music gets louder, but it didn't seem louder. That's why I didn't speak over the top of it. But anyway, the Carlos Hancock. I'm sure I've seen about the book and I've seen the documentary about him, but
Charles Henderson, Penguin Books, 1st of October 2001, Marine Sniper, 93 confirmed kills. That looks to be the one. And it seems to have very good high ranking on the book reviews.
So what is it just called US Marines?
No, it's Marine Sniper, 93 confirmed kills.
Well, that'll be him, but I'm sure there was a book. It was more of a, and I'm sure it was not that Penguin book, and it was called. I think it was just something like Confirmed or something like that. It was just a one-word title, and then it had the description underneath.
Yeah, it's basically what this one had.
I think it was something like Vietnam's deadliest sniper, but it didn't name him. It was just talking about the operations he was involved in.
So the book cover is reading The Explosive True Story of a Vietnam Hero, Marine Sniper, 93 confirmed kills, written by Charles Henderson.
but I had heard of him. So I had. So, anywho, so guys, what we're thinking of for next week, since it's the Doctor Who birthday, next Wednesday we're going to do An Unearthly Child. We're going to watch it, then we're going to chat about it. We're not going to watch it live. We're going to actually watch it before and then chat about it. However, Sunday coming, there is going to be another stream. So there is. So
We're adding a new stream format for you. But
yes,
this is for the
this
book
is a
weeks.
fairly early on-ish one. It is. I'm just looking at the time just to make sure I don't mess around. It is the Wheel of Time, and it is scheduled for Sunday the 21st at 8 o'clock. However, we could have it earlier if people wish, because it's a Sunday. We don't want to work too late because I've got work on Monday. But Wheel of Time starts Friday. I've only had a brief look at the first trailer. We did the reaction on the stream the last time. I've looked at one or two others, but I've not paused them, rewound them, and things like that. I've just literally seen them. I've got trepidations about it, but I've also got hope for it. However, I'm rereading the books and I'm becoming a grumpy old bugger, and I'm realizing that I'm hoping they do change parts of the books. I'm hoping
So I'm on audiobook form. I've done the same
I'm
thing.
actually on 4. I'm on 4 at the moment as well.
Yeah, but I've stepped back from the trailers. So I've seen the title poster, the first that came out. I've seen the first trailer, but I backed off after that.
No,
I don't want anything. I want to be surprised by the show.
I've seen the first trailer. I watched that with you on stream, and we talked about it. The second trailer didn't add a lot to it, but it was just similar. It was very similar. There was nothing really new. They showed one or two other bits, like they showed it looked like Shaitan, but it could have been Beltherman, and it was just I think it was called the 360, so it was to show the light and the dark and stuff like that. So we didn't add a lot to it, and I only just watched it once, and then they did the Moraine story. I didn't really pay that much attention because it didn't really add to it, because I'm no keen on the Moraine character in the show. Yeah, I love the Moraine character in the books.
Yeah.
But I think it's because she just doesn't look like Moraine to me. Because Moraine was basically quite a small but very intimidating queen.
Small framed, intimidating, black haired, still royal, regally dressed.
That's the thing. She looked regal, or she looked like a highborn lady, looking like dressed like everybody else. Just doesn't fit with the Moraine. It might change once I start watching it. I am aware of it, but the problem is I see, based on the one clip, the main one we watched, where I think somebody gave them cliff notes to write it, because I hate the white cloaks, and I hate the white cloaks in the books, but the white cloaks in the
I don't
books,
recall them too much. I recall the book versions, and they are. I wish I had literally like a button that just can go. It's like bleep just to delete it, but they are nasty. They are not friendly.
But the thing is, in the books are like that. But if they get a chance, they would take down an Aes Sedai. Yeah, in the TV show, they only showed the white cloaks twice. The bit where you see Perrin and Egwene and the three riders, I think they're white cloaks. So that's
Well, in the book that happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's three riders. So I think that's what it is. However, there's another one where one of them sitting like this with his thing, we're watching a bonfire. But just before that, you see the woman gagged, blindfold, and screaming with the flames round her. And then he walks away, putting a ring on his belt. And I'm sitting there thinking, somebody's obviously read, they call them the Tar Valon witches. So what do you do with witches? Oh, you burn them at the stake. And you're sitting there thinking, has anybody read the books? Because the one power doesn't work like that. The person with the
I mean,
power.
the second, the white cloaks aren't okay. They're nasty, but they're not like serial killers collecting memorabilia or stuff like that.
Yeah, but
I might be wrong, but they're not.
No, in the book they're not like that. And if they get a chance, they would fill in an Aes Sedai with arrows. But they're burning her at stake, and you're sitting there thinking, this is because the book, somebody in the book said, or somebody said to them, they call them the Tarvalin witches. What do you do with witches? So they're burning them at the stake. They've got a gag on and a blindfold. What difference would that make? All the Aes Sedai would do is just use the power to take them off and free herself and save herself. But she's getting burnt at the stake. It's implying that other ones have been burnt at the stake. That's what I'm saying. Things like that makes the trepidation, just because a wee silly bit like that.
How are they going to be? So if the white cloaks need to blindfold gag an Aes Sedai, what's the collar one's called now again?
The Shanshan.
Shanshan.
So
What would they need so extreme amount of power to control the Aes Sedai if all you needed to do was burn them at the stake?
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. It's the way it's played out in the clip. So that clip could have just been different thing completely. But based on that clip, I'm sitting there thinking, I dislike the white cloaks, always have. And the fact
I reserve judgment until I've seen
the
Shadow logo.
That's what I want to do. And
once I've seen Shadow logo, then I know what to make of it.
Well, the thing is, Shadow logo looks really good, but they've got Else Grimwell in this, and you're sitting there thinking she was a very small part of the book, yet they've already got somebody, and actually it's on IMDb, something with part of the cast, and you're sitting there thinking she wasn't a big part of the book. They seem to be bringing the first two maybe parts of the third book all into the first season, yet they've got someone who played a very small part in the cast, and you're sitting there thinking,
if they're bringing, and again, I haven't snooped on the IMDb page, but if they're doing 1, 2, and 3 in the first season, I really, really want to be blown away. And pardon the wrong choice of wording there, but Lanfear. I want a strong, manipulative, gorgeous-looking woman, able to still hook in, even though you know you should back away. She should have that charisma, the gravitas to like pull you in, manipulate, do all of these things, because that is Lanfear's power. Yes.
Or if you're going to have somebody that doesn't have the power but has still got that can manipulate you, then it's Belaine.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're talking book 1, 2, and 3.
I can tell you one thing, Belaine is not going to be in this series at all. Can you imagine modern sensibilities with a character like Belaine?
Oh,
no.
Well, it's Amazon, and Amazon is obviously gunning for the Game of Thrones, like extreme nudities, violence.
Yeah, which I'm hoping to go against. In the books, there's only there's nudity in it, and it's the bit where they go through the novices go through to get the accepted, that training. That is it. That is no needed. The way they looks like they're doing it in this, I don't know if it's just a pond and stuff like that. I don't know. That's why I've tried to stay true. I've been interested and I've been curious. However, I've had trepidations beforehand, but when I watched the first trailer, a lot of them disappeared. But they're still, anytime I see something and think about it, I think, oh, I'm looking forward to watching it. So
yeah, you see, we have about 2 days before it really gets released. But I think it's the States, and us in UK, we get it about the 20th, whatever it is. But we should probably put something on Twitter or anything, and it's like, this is what I remember from the books. This is the standout thing. So my thinking, just like off the top of my head, is Matt and Perrin constantly thinking the other guy is so much better talking to ladies than I am.
Aye, Matt
Because,
Perrin and Rand, every
yeah.
time they were actually dealing with women, they always thought the other two were better.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So
and the thing is, they
that
don't
is
really
kind of
have
like a
that.
curious, have the footnote and then see before the show comes out, these are the footnotes that we got. How well did it literally like tick that
See,
box?
I'm doing the opposite because I want to watch it and think, what part of the book was that? Or that's that part of the book, and it's nothing like this because that's what I want to do. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going. It comes out in the 19th. It's on Amazon Prime in the 19th. They're advertising the 19th, even in the UK. I'll not get to watch it until Sunday during the day. So I'll not get to watch because Saturday I've got stuff on in the morning. I want to watch a couple of bits on YouTube. Then I've got the streaming Saturday night. Sunday, when I eventually wake up, I've got nothing on until the streaming Sunday night, and that's when I'm going to watch the Wheel of Time prior to it. So I'm not going to watch it prior to the streaming Saturday night. Yeah.
Just make sure you ping me when we're ready. We will.
Yeah. 8 o'clock. I will send you the link. Didn't you worry? So well. So Chicken Hawk. That looks a good one. Robert Manson's memoirs. Most of the memoirs I've got, Captain, are Napoleonic. I've got a lot of Napoleonic memoirs because that is my genre. I like the Napoleonic Wars. So I've not read that Chicken Hawk. I've not even heard it. But I've got stuff from the Second World War, and it's stuff from my collection for looking at my grandfather's stuff. So a couple of memoirs from Highland Light Infantry, and they weren't technically meant to write them, but they wrote them anyway, and they published afterwards. So I've got a couple of memoirs from that, but they're actually small pamphlet types. They're actually kept in the Highland Light Infantry Museum in Glasgow City Centre. I went there and I got some bits and pieces from them. However, I got a good few from the Napoleonic, both French side and the British side. So I think Sergeant Weller was one of the first I got, and that was quite good. But I'll need to dig them out, reread them again. However, I've got no enough time. But tonight I'm going to finish off with that, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again. And
thank Christ this worked. I'm
telling you, I'm happy. Because look how long it took me to get that working. And now I've actually got it working, I'm tempted to dig out the wee cheap one I had and see if I can get that working.
You see, I do have the second one that does have the minion laugh and everything, but this works. I'm leaving it be.
Yeah, is that the
all I
small one,
really
the same
need
idea?
for it is if you ever mention that film that you have the drawing from. I have one button. That's all I need to remember because this one has 9, 18, oh god, 27 buttons, 4 dials, and 5 sliders. It's like, it's too much. I can't remember all of it.
I've got 22, 20, 30 buttons, 2 dials, and 5 sliders in this one. It's a Remal. I got it for a whole £10 from eBay secondhand.
You mean one of these?
No, it's a Remal, but it's slightly different.
Yeah, it's a remodel as well.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it's a little bit of difference there. Yeah.
A bit of difference, but I got mine for a tenner on eBay. Somebody was
Mine
selling a
was 16
secondhand one.
quid or something.
So I was quite happy with that. I saw the few of them, like they were that one there was about 26 quid, 30 quid brand new, and that wee one I had cost me something like 20 quid, and I think it's the mic jack, it's broken in it, and that's why it's not working. So no matter what I do, I can't get that working, but at least I've got one working, and I know what was causing the feedback.
Yeah,
The feedback
you
was
figured that
because
out.
the charger was in it.
The reason I got this one is because before that, I had to sit at this range and I was sounding really horrible. Now I can actually sit back and be a bit of a distance away from the microphone.
Yeah. And I like the fact that I can echo if I want to. and then I can switch it off if I want to.
I don't know if my Echo does anything. So this is my Echo setting that I found is good. This is absolutely rock bottom. This is maximum Echo. I don't know if it does anything.
I don't think you're getting any echo at all.
Yeah.
Try your reverb.
You might have heard something, but this should be the first level of reverb, which should be like B sharp or something.
Now try actually turning your echo up a bit.
Right. Default Echo, maximum Echo. Does this
Getting a
change
wee
anything?
echo. You're getting a wee echo with it.
That's default Echo. And now
Right.
back to MC, primal sound, or back to MC.
Yeah.
I still have no clue what they mean. It is all I
Yeah, I
know.
must admit.
Setting I have seemed to sound good.
Yeah, well, I messed around with mine and I just did a practice. Bernard Cornwell, I've got who wrote chapbooks, wrote a great non-fiction about Napoleonic Wars. And
we go around in a circle and back to sharp we go.
yeah, but the thing is, I've got a load of Bernard Cornwell stuff. I've got I've got a load of the sharp books.
I didn't mind Sean being in sharp. I think
No,
I read maybe
after
one
reading
sharp book, but in terms of the book versus the film or series, it's like you have described several times. The books paint a larger garrison.
Yeah,
The film
and
does not.
see, one of the when I first got it, I used to do data input. That's when I started listening to audiobooks because I was sitting inputting a load of data. So people were sitting listening to music, and I hated music, so I got a Walkman, and I went to the library, and there was the Sharps books, and I listened to them, and I listened to them, and I listened to them. See if you ever get a chance to get them on Audible. Get the ones with I think it's Paul Gamanara or William Gamanara. I think it's Paul Gamanara actually reading them. My God, he is absolutely fantastic. But I think I've got one of the Bernard Cornwell's non-fiction books. I think I've got a load of Napoleonic stuff, literally a big pile. So it could be one of Bernard Cornwell's ones, or it might be another one. I've just assumed it's been. I've got a few. I've got quite a bit of collection. I do like. I used to read a lot more than I do nowadays, and that's at the Audible now. However, my bookshelf is at the end. You can usually see. You can just see my sharp stuff there, just under my hat. So,
I always say one thing though, because I've seen you do that before with your new sound card. If you turn away, it was a significant drop. Whereas
yes.
Whereas you did it before the sound card, you could turn away. We still heard you perfectly.
Yeah. So basically, if I actually move that away, you shouldn't be able to hear too much, and when I bring it back, you get a lot better. It's meant to actually cut out background sounds as well. So sound cards actually meant to equalize it a bit better, so you don't, like if I was sitting across the room and I was talking, and if somebody walked past the room, like the dog's going, you would hear it. Whereas with this, you're less.
Not heard it this evening at all.
Yeah, no, even though the dogs have been in and out a couple of times, they've not come up on my mic as in. So that's where I got that's initially I wanted the sound, to get a couple of sound effects, voice changer, but I also wanted to help be a bit more muffled. Which I want to sit in front of the mic talking. I don't want to actually be sitting across the room. But yes, I am aware if I turn away, it goes dead quiet. So that's why I need to wear this, so I can hear things like that, so that I can hear the sounds to make sure they're all going. I could take that out my ear, but it helps me understand if I can hear the sound and I'm talking over voices.
Yeah.
But
I would say Cam is popping it in probably as well. We're essentially just talking sound cards at the moment.
We are just saying thingy.
But yes, Cam, we're probably rounding it up quite soon.
Yeah,
but I'm definitely looking forward, because it looks like we have a very amazing, like I should say, winter season, Christmas season coming up with Wheel of Time. And
Wheel of Time is going to be every Sunday.
Yes.
after the episode. We're just going to discuss the episode or the building story, because I know
Yeah.
fine well there's going to be times we're going to talk about the week before's as well as, but we're going to discuss each episode of the Wheel of Time. as it
Exactly,
comes out.
but we're kind of rolling in because we have sort of a good idea. So we're rolling in. So the Wednesdays will be like good old classic Doctor Who stuff.
Yes,
So we're
we're going to
starting
wrap
with
up
the Unearthly
next
Child,
Wednesday.
which is the first episode ever.
Yes, and we are looking maybe this Saturday, both sides of that, make it a Doctor Who week. So we've not decided 100% if we're going to do something either side, but we'll know for Saturday and we'll know. However, we're going to finish there, and thank you everyone. Thank you gents. Thank you ladies. Thank you ladles and jelly spoons, as my mother used to say. And fork off.
Never
As
knew
I
your
said,
mom, but it doesn't
you
surprise me
didn't-
if she said something like that.
Most people, I'd never expect that, because that's what my mum used to say. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Now, fork off. And it used to always catch them because of that. But thank you, one and all, for joining us. We had fun. Repo Man definitely was a fun film. We will be discussing The Wheel of Time on Sunday. We will. What have we got for this weekend? We've got nothing specifically tailored for the Saturday stream. My machine's actually going slow. We've got nothing specifically tailored for Saturday, but Wednesday we've got an Unearthly Child. So stay tuned for some fun. Then we can talk about what we're going to do over the December, which is going to be the run up to the Christmas movies.
Definitely be a bit of Gremlins and Die Hard in there.
Oh, definitely. There's definitely going to be White Christmas. That's my favourite. That's the one I'll be talking about
Absolutely.
near Christmas. And anyway, ladies and gents, remember, I'm not old, I'm classic. So from me, DJ maybe, and from Jim the Viking,
Hail, you glorious lot.